football talk show that holds back nothing on opinions.
Straight shooting LJA.
Hi, I'm John Sitton.
Grassroots coach Manisha Taylor.
Hello, I'm Rob Perez.
The G-Man.
Sonley, Motivate Sports and Fitness.
Christian Carambeu.
Matt Hodgson, Director of the 4-Year Plan.
We the people, for the people. Jazzy Fizzle.
Your Monday night footballing fix.
Make sure you join the revolution.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk. Each and every Monday night of your lives.
At youtube.com/pitch talk.
For podcast links and information, check out our official website, www.pitch-talk.com.
Hello, I'm Rob Perez.
Grassroots coach Manisha Taylor.
Christian Carambeu.
Matt Hodgson, Director of the 4-Year Plan.
Dave McLaughlin.
I'm Rob Lusher,
Andy Copeland from the Glennet Southern Amateur League.
Philip Wick, I'm CEO of 14.
Former Chairman of Ibis FC.
Chairman of Alexandra Park FC.
And you're listening to
Pitch Talk, the only place to get your Monday night footballing fix.
Because the pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk. Make sure you join the revolution, the football revolution.
Hi, I'm John Sitton and I'm here with Gavin, Liam and Gerald on Pitch Talk.
The football talk show that pulls no punches and holds back nothing on opinions.
Hello, I'm Rob Perez. My name is Christian Carambeu.
I'm Grassroots coach Manisha Taylor.
Hi, I'm Matt Hodgson, Director of the 4-Year Plan, and you're listening to Pitch Talk, the only place to get your Monday night footballing fix.
Make sure you join the revolution.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk.
I'm Andy Copeland from the Glennet Southern Amateur League.
Philip Wick, I'm CEO of 14.
I'm Rob Lusher, former Chairman of Ibis FC.
I'm Sonley, co-founder and co-director of Motivate Sports and Fitness.
And you're listening
to Pitch Talk.
Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, straight shooting LJ, the G-Man and Jazzy Fizzle proudly bring to you the football talk show that pulls no punches and holds back nothing on opinions, because the pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And of course, the pitch is where we talk. It's one of them ones. Welcome. Welcome. Do you say talc? Welcome to your Monday Night Football Fix. We
Imperial leather.
Johnson & Johnson. You got talc and powder brands again? Again? When did we do it before? Anyway, we are live, and it is Monday
Back
night.
to the story.
It's Monday, it's live, and this is Pitch Talk. www.com is the official website to find out everything Pitch Talk. Also, you can get the live mixler.com/pitch-talk feed on our website and listen to the show live, audio only there as well. Also, what you can do as well is go to facebook.com/pitch-talk, become a fan, become in the footballing revolution. We're working so hard to create myspace.com/pitch-talk, pitchtalk.blogspot.co.uk will get you to the blogs, as well as blogs by yours truly, Straight Shooting LJ, the G-Man and Jazzy Fizzle. You can also get blogs by people such as Mike Harniman, Russ Vernon, Big T, aka Thomas Hewitt, Dave Mear, aka Missy, and many more as well. Also, you can go to twitter.com/pitch-talk or at Pitch Talk on Twitter. Tweet with us, follow us, see what one of them was. Remember, also Pitch Talk 1 on Skype, and also on Skype. Also, you can find us on Google Plus, Pitch Talk Live on Google Plus as well.
Remember we told you?
Love it. Yeah. But you know what? It is one of them ones where we've had, well, a couple of us have had a bit of, well, I have had a bit of a manic weekend anyway. So it's one of them ones. By the way, big time birthday shout outs to one of my best friends, Sherelle Wedderburn. Big time birthday shout out to you for yesterday, and Saturday was nuts. It was nuts. Oh my God. Big shout out to the Burtbeck crew as well, because Friday was nuts as well. Oh, it's been a bit of a manic last few days, but it's been good. It's been good. Jazzy Fizzle, how's your weekend been, bro?
Well, you were there for a big part of it, so you know, I'm pretty sure you happen to know how my weekend was, or at least part of it. But the rest of it was very,
everybody
good.
knows, wants to know.
You know what? Birthday shout outs and salutes to my good friend Dave Hancock's. Nothing but love to you and to his lovely wife Claire as well. Thank you for looking after Dave. Shout outs to Mr. Christopher Andrews, to James Sandbrooks as well. Sorry I couldn't be there, but I was there in spirit. Yeah, there in spirit. Shout out to all my family, man. Shout out to all my friends. Shout out to my frenemies. Shout out to my next wife. Shout out to my ex-wife. Shout out to my future kids. Extra special shout outs to my cousin Junior. He was down at Wembley Way. He stopped me for 2 seconds and said, hey. Also down at Wembley Way was my cousin Romy and the Don, the boss, aka Little Studge. He was there as well. He happened to watch Tottenham News, unfortunately. But they were all down at Wembley Way. So big shout outs to them. And you know what? Shout outs to the Pitch Talk family as well, man. It's all about the Pitch Talk family. It's we the people for the people. Thank you for being a part of the footballing revolution we are working so hard to create.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. It is one of, oh my God. Wembley Way was just such fun as per usual, to be honest. So it was one of them ones I just love it, man. I love, like I said to you yesterday, we need more days like that. We need more days like that. So it was one of them ones. It was, wow, I can't wait to have one of them kind of days again, man. Nuts. It was nuts. By the way, big shout out to the Skypers that we got in the house. We got Russ Vernon, Tom Wood, Kieran Riley, and Mike Harniman as well.
And not forgetting, big shout out to the G-Man as well.
Of course.
Holding it down.
Of course.
Nothing but love for you, G. It's a G thing.
The third point of the trifecta. The most handsome, the most opinionated, and I must say, most informed trifecta in football. The most handsome, the most articulate. It's all good, all good. But you know what? It is time for us, baby, to give a couple of others. Big shouts to Thin White Line magazine as well. Who will be joining Ian Kerr will be joining us later. So it's you know what? I was gonna say actually, big God, shout out to going mental today. Going mental. I'm getting prods. I'm getting prods on Skype. Shout outs to this. Shout out to that. Shout out to the ex-wife. Shout out to the next wife. Shout out to my baby mama. Shout out to the baby. Okay, what? Oh baby. I told her, but anyway, leaving that one aside. Actually, yeah, big shouts to Sam Greenham and Elliot Waller, and also Samir Sawney, of course, of Motivate Sports and Fitness at Motivate SF on Twitter. A big shout out to Girls on the Ball at Girls on the Ball on Twitter. Remember, we actually do have Pitch Talk meets Girls on the Ball on YouTube.com/Pitch Talk as well. So it's one of them ones. It's all good. It's all good. Oh, that's actually fantastic. On behalf of Tom Wood, big shout out to his sister Kat and his nephew Archie who are listening. Fantastic stuff. Big shoots. And a big shout out to Mike Harniman as well after some family issues that he's mentioned in the Skype chat. So it's one of them ones. But you know what? We got to pause. We got to pause that one, baby. It's one of them ones. We got to pause that, and then we got to go into the very first segment of the show, which is results and analysis. It's results and analyses. It's results and analyses. And Mike Harniman is such a wrong. He's greedy. I didn't know polygamy. We're coming for you. Well, I can't finish that line here, but yeah. Coming for you, Jesse. Anyway.
Why me? What did I do?
I don't know what you did. What did you do?
That's what I'm saying. What did I do?
What do you do? What did you do? I blame the mother. Let's go to Tuesday, 24 February.
What was that about my mama?
I said, you tell your mother. I said that too. Oh, you're going to rip flare lines. Oh my, what the hell? It's getting wrong in the Skype chat already. Tuesday, 24th February 2015. Juventus 2, Borussia Dortmund 1 is where we're going to start. Carlos Tevez opening and scoring on 13 minutes. Marco Reus equalising on 18 minutes. And Morata scoring the winner on 42 minutes. Man City 1, Barcelona 2. Suarez bagging a brace. The opening goal on 16 minutes. The second on 30 minutes. And Aguero scored a consolation on 69 minutes. And Kyle Clichy was sent off on 74 minutes after a second yellow. Tactical naivety has been kind of the key phrase bandied about in regards to Man City v Barca, and you have to say, well, not just that, but also a step up in class for Man City, who were dominated for large parts of that game. Were dominated by Barca, and especially in that first half. I mean, that second goal. Well, you had Messi's missed penalty as well, but right at the end, which could have put that result out of sight. But City have a chance. But it's one of them where, with City Barcelona, it was one of them where Pellegrini looked like he had no plan B at all. Plan A wasn't working, and there weren't no plan B. But with the second goal, the one on 30 minutes, it was a case of, like I said on Twitter, that goal was slicker than whale crap in an ice floe. That goal was smooth as ice, smooth as silk. That's what I'm looking at. That was one slick goal. Juve Borussia Dortmund was kind of an interesting one because it kind of tailed off in the second half. It was a bit of a slow burner, but oh my God, the defending on the goals. It was one of them was mistakes were getting pounced upon in that game, and that's how it was. But it was. I mean, Juventus, Borussia Dortmund, and Man City, Barcelona. We were doing the live updates on. Both interesting games, but for different reasons. I mean, Borussia Dortmund are pretty damn good in the Champions League this season, and they have their away goal against Juve. But in the league, they're just starting to recover now. It's bloody March, so it's an interesting one. Jesse Fizzle, what do you reckon about these first two results in the Champions League, the last 16? Is Jesse giving a dramatic pause again?
No, I'm not. No, I think that they were particularly interesting results. You know, I thought Juventus, the start of their season in Europe was a little bit topsy-turvy, you know, and now you're seeing them come to the fore. You're seeing key players come to the fore as well. Carlitos Tevez, you know, him scoring is always a bonus. And obviously tonight you've got Roma taking on Juve in Serie A, so I'll keep an eye on that one as well. And the other, you know, in terms of Barcelona v Man City, I think Man City, they were out in a 4-4-2, and I'm saying to myself, Barcelona really aren't the team to play a 4-4-2 against. They're really not, you know. And as good as that City team is in terms of quality individuals, they really don't look like a team at the moment. Having said that, though, I think tactically Pellegrini got that game all wrong, and Barcelona deserved the victory.
I mean, I'd definitely go with that because at the end of the day, again, it's that key phrase, tactical naivety. which actually came to roost for Man City again on the weekend, but we'll get into that later. But, I mean, Mike Harniman, you had a bit of money riding on that game, didn't you?
Oh, I did. And I was literally jumping up and down like a mad person when Messi was about to take the penalty. And then when he missed it, I was like, this is not happening. Because I could have won, well, for a start, if Suarez took the penalty and he got his hat-trick, it could have been about 60, 70 quid. And if Messi even scored it himself, it would have been like 40, 45. So I was a bit annoyed.
Can't blame you for being a bit annoyed on that one. But no, I mean, it's one of them where I'm one of them ones. I don't bet money on football anyway, just because there's way too many bloody variables. So it's one of them ones. But to get that close, I mean, Big T's had a good few near misses himself as well. It's like 3-0, yes, 4-0. Oh, damn. So, it's a risky one. It is a risky.
The game itself, though, was actually quite enjoyable. I quite enjoyed it. I thought that Barcelona deserved the win. Suarez was lethal up top, and just the third goal was all that was missing from his performance, really. And like I said, that would have won me a bit of money. But, you know, you win some and you lose some, so take it on the chin.
Yeah, no, I hear that. There's another way I could go with that, taking it on the chin, but I won't. I'm definitely not going that way. But yeah,
boy, you need Jesus.
No, not again. Not that one again. You know what? Got a quick. I've actually got a quick question for Kieran Riley. Wolves v Fulham. Wolves 3, Fulham 0. Danny Batt scored on 10 minutes. Sacco scored on 40 minutes, and he also scored in first half stoppage time to round it out as well. It's a shame Jamie Bailey isn't here, but he must be tired after playing in the Capital One Cup final yesterday. Ramirez. Whoa. Oh, I love it. Kieran, what did you... Wow, okay, that's a marathon. Kieran, what did you reckon about Wolves 3, Fulham 0?
Well, to be honest, Liam, I got there a little bit late before the first goal, so I was quite happy with that. But I literally only just sat down and Danny Bath headed the corner straight in to make the first goal, so I was just like, okay, fair dues. Comes to Sacco scoring in the 40th minutes, and I was just to go and get some food. And to be honest, the first half we played really, really well. Plenty of chances. Hopefully we scored 3 goals in 45 minutes, which was really, really good. Second half, we did slacken off a bit. Fulham had a few more chances, but had more possession, obviously, in the second half as well. But we did have our fair chances, but we didn't, obviously, score any goals in the second half. But we did have a few good chances, but Fulham managed to hold off for a 3-0 thrashing. So I'm quite happy with that result. Onwards and upwards.
I hear that. I can understand you being happy with that one. Although, on the other side, staying in the Championship briefly, Brighton 2, Leeds 0. Sam Baldock opening the scoring on 26 minutes and Calderon scoring on 63 minutes. I know Russ Vernon might not be happy with this, and the flop of the week accusations are already lining up. Well, line them up. So there was Russ, encapsulate for us quickly your views on Brighton 2, Leeds 0.
Well, I was actually listening on the radio because we did try to get last Tuesday off where so I could go down to watch the Beanback at Ellenworks to putting the Beanback on for the fans who couldn't make it down to Brighton. But we couldn't do that because someone else had dealt with it. So I listened to the game on the radio and the commentators said, after the brilliant performance on Saturday from last Saturday when we played Middlesbrough 1-0, the players look to be tired, and I've seen the highlights on our TV channel, and for the first goal I'm going to complain about Michael Salisbury, the son of the who had for the Brentford game, Graham Salisbury. He was in line with Craig McHale-Smith, who was in a offside position. He could have shook his hand. He was that close. He weren't looking at the ball. He was looking at the Leeds United players to make sure we didn't commit a foul. Craig McHale-Smith got through, put the ball across. Baldock scores 1-0 Brighton. Offside. Didn't give. And then the second goal, poor defending, I must say. But But it was we've one of them bogey teams. We've not won down there for quite a bit. I think we've drawn a couple and lost a couple in the last 4 visits to the Amex. So it was practically one of those bogey teams away from home. I think it was the first time that they'd done the double over us for quite some time as well. And apart from that, like I say, the players looked tired. I could actually see that when I watched the full 90 minutes. But the players did look tired, and we need to try to put that behind us. We'll play Ipswich on Wednesday evening. We played on Saturday, which hopefully I'll say on that game, because I was at the game and I won some money on Saturday from the Leeds United game against Watford, which, if we get time, I'll tell you why. Or if you're on, Liam, I'll give you a quick mention now if you want.
Well, we do need to shift on, because we do need to shift on to Wednesday, 25th February 2015, and coming back to the Champions League round of 16. So Arsenal 1, Monaco 3. I actually had a conspiracy theory to do with this game, but I'll go into that in a second. But Arsenal 1, Monaco 3. Kondogbia scoring pretty damn good finish, to be honest, on 38 minutes. Dimitar Berbatov scoring on 53 minutes. Arsenal fans were up in arms then, but Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain scored in second half stoppage time, and what looked like it was going to give Arsenal hope, and it was a belter of a finish. Again, we were doing live updates on this game, but Ferreira Carrasco scored on 94 minutes. So it was one of them kind of crazy games. But Bayer Leverkusen 1, Atletico Madrid 0. Calhanoglu scoring the only goal of the game on 57 minutes. Really good finish. There was a sending off on 76 minutes. Thiago was sent off for his second booker ball. Diego Godin was booked, so Godin and Thiago will miss the second leg of that. But there was also a disallowed goal in that as well, harshly disallowed at that. So it was one of them. Was Atletico can feel aggrieved that they did get an away goal. By the way, a big shout out to a friend of the show, Miss Irene Bonilla, as well, who is an Atletico supporter.
Hola. Yeah, you knew that was coming.
Oh yeah, couple elements track on. Knew that was coming. But no, the Arsenal 1, Monaco 3. My conspiracy theory: Madonna fell over on the same night. Just so happened to fall over. I didn't know about that until after that game. But my theory was that Madonna took that hilarious drop at the Brits when she was dressed up like Batman for some reason. She took that drop to take the heat off Arsenal and take the attention of Arsenal because she's a secret gooner. That's my conspiracy theory, and I'm sticking to it.
I'm saying this: it's nowhere near as good as mine from yesterday. But all right.
Articulate that for the people.
Well, the thing is, I really want them to watch the videos that we're gonna put together from our footage yesterday. But the long and short of it is, right, similar to your Madonna theory, right? On one side, under the bridge of Wembley Way, right, you had pictures of, Chelsea. So you had a picture of Jose Mourinho and a couple other players. I think it was like Nemanja Matic and Courtois,
well, yeah.
Right? And then on the opposite side, you had Mauricio Pochettino and a couple Tottenham players. So I think one of them was like Ryan Mason, Jan Vertonghen, Harry Kane, Christian Eriksen, and I think it was like Kyle Walker, right? And I'm pretty sure there's a Chelsea player that I'm missing. Diego Costa is the Chelsea player that I'm missing, right? But in terms of players, right? Tottenham had 2 extra players. What was that about? Right? I mean, I know like most people expected Chelsea to win. Maybe it was that they expected them to win by 2 clear goals, so they thought, right, we'll give them 2 extra players to balance it out.
On the walls, on the sides.
on the walls, on the sides, right? But it really wasn't a balanced advertising campaign. It was very much anti-Chelsea. And Jose Mourinho has a gripe there.
I think you're making mountains out of molehills, but yeah.
No, listen, right? The numerical evidence was there. That's what I'm saying.
not even not anecdotal, but numerical evidence. I love it.
Numerical evidence was there. Why did Tottenham get 2 extra players? It's bias.
Yeah.
It's bias. That's what I'm saying.
Speaking of a team who didn't have extra, the Arsenal-Monaco game was hilarious. I think a lot of the Arsenal fans were expecting to roll over Monaco. And that team are not pushovers, but at the end of the day, this is not exactly a brilliant vintage of Monaco. Personally for me, the last really good Monaco side I saw was in the mid to late 90s. So, okay. So wrong in the Skype chat, I swear. And I know I'm not the only one who saw that. But no, it's what I've got stories about that kind of thing from the weekend, but not with me. And anyway, I can't go into that on there. But
I can't. And I know where you're gonna go with that.
Epic.
Oh, stop it.
Pebble Dash. Anyway.
Why?
Why? But no, Mike Harniman, you wanted to I know you want to have an opinion on Arsenal v Monaco. How about it, man?
Yeah, I'm with you on the Madonna theory. I quite like that. I think that's pretty decent, to be honest.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, Monaco are not. They're nothing special. Like we should roll them over. That was the thing, and we the players on the pitch who actually went out there, they were thinking in their heads. You could see it by the way they were playing. That they only had to be on like second gear to win the game. That's what they were thinking. And they really were brought down to earth. Giroud, shocking. Ozil, shocking. What a waste. You saw my picture I put up, Liam, as well, by the way.
Yeah, before yeah. How much should Ozil have cost you?
Well, I wouldn't say it was anywhere near 42 million. I'd probably say about 42p. And you can chuck in Fleming, Wenger, Giroud, and possibly one or two others from Wednesday as well in there for that.
No, yeah. I mean, it's one of them ones. I mean, similar to Manchester City, you lot. I'm of course talking about Arsenal. It's a case of that the pressing game. I mean, as the home team, you're expected to press. You're expected to really.
But there was no Walcott and no Oxlade-Chamberlain. That's where Wenger got it wrong straight away. You're at home. You're playing who you see as a weaker side for whatever reason. You're expected to go through. The fans that were there are expected to go through. Play Giroud, play Welbeck, play Oxlade-Chamberlain, play Sanchez, play Walcott, and go ultra attacking. Get a couple of goals. You've got Coquelin there who can do a job, holding the back, the defensive mid position and stuff. And he's been solid. So that would have been all right because Coquelin was probably one of the better players on Wednesday anyway.
I mean,
you need to go attacking. That's what we've got to do when we go out there because otherwise, they're going to try and hold on for a 0-0 or a 1-0 win or whatever it will be, and then we'll get completely shot to pieces again in papers and on the TV, just like we did Wednesday and Thursday.
Well, it's one of them ones. At the end of the day, I mean, you lot could go there, win 2-0, and win 2-0, but it wouldn't actually be enough.
Oh, and we will
because of the three away goals. So
it's Bayern Munich all over again. That is exactly what will happen.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's just one of them ones where you lot have got to go there, win basically 3-0. So it's like, can you shut up shop at the back? If you couldn't do it at home, what makes you think you're going to be able to do it away? That would be the big concern.
We won't do it at home, away from home. Sorry, because like you're saying, if we can't do it at home, Mertesacker looked shaky. Koscielny's had his injury problems. Gabriel is only new into the side. Made his second appearance yesterday. Looks a bit shaky there as well. He's still learning. Him and Koscielny haven't played together very much at all. Gabriel is new to the country. He doesn't speak a lot of English. I'm worried, very worried about the Monaco game.
I can't blame him for being worried, to be honest. But I mean, we'll see. It's not outside the realms of possibility. But you guys have got to force the issue. That's the thing that you've got to do. Is force the issue. So we'll see what happens. See what happens in that one. But a couple of matches that are now done deals. Thursday, 26th February 2015. It's one of them ones. Besiktas 1, Liverpool 0. It was 1-0 on aggregate. Went to extra time. Ended up going to penalties. Arslan scored on 72 minutes. I said Arslan, not something else. Not the name of Billy Gunn old entrance theme. Well, man. Bum, bum. We weren't doing that on Thursday night. None of it. Literally. Bugger, can't bother. Seen Sturridge, Sterling, no real pressing game, and I'm not even gonna blame them. No test to wind up Mario Balotelli, who got booked on 11 minutes. They were targeting him, trying to wind him up, and it was like, okay, all right, keep going. Let's see what happens. But Balotelli did very well to keep his cool, actually, because they tried to get up the back of him and tried to really annoy him, but. Take nothing away from Besiktas, they were the better team. Over the 2 legs, they were actually the better team, to be honest. I mean, we were lucky enough to get away with a 1-0 at home. So hey, power to Besiktas. They were celebrating like they'd won the league, like they'd won the Europa League. But hey, that's all good with them. But yeah, not a very good week for British teams in Europe, because Fiorentina 2, Tottenham 0 Europa League last 32 as well. 3-1 on aggregate. Mario Gomez opened the scoring on 54 minutes, and Mo Salah scored on 71 minutes. I think Salah's now scored 4 goals in 6 starts with Fiorentina, so they're calling him Super Salah. So it's kind of an interesting one. But yeah, if you're that Fiorentina 2 Tottenham 0 result, well, them was they went out with kind of a whimper. Inter Milan 1, Celtic 0. Van Dijk was sent off after 36 minutes after being booked on 27. And oh god. And yeah, if you saw what I was seeing in the Skype chat, you'd know why I just had to pause. But Freddie Guarin scored the only goal of the game on 88 minutes, and Inter Milan went through 4-3 on aggregate. So that was one of them ones. That was one of them ones where Celtic playing 2/3 of that game with 10 men and still only being beaten 1-0. The damage had already been done when they drew 3-0 in the first leg up. That's Celtic Park. But Everton 3, Young Boys 1, 7-2 on aggregate. Sonogo Jr. scored on 13 minutes. I don't think he's related to Yaya Sonogo, but anyway. Romelu Lukaku scored on 25 minutes, scored again on 30 minutes, and also scored again. And also Kevin Mirallas scored on 42 minutes. Yeah, 3-1 on the night, 7-2 on aggregate. And when I saw the goals at halftime of this match, it was like, yeah, and that's why Young Boys are not taken seriously. It's exactly why. If you see the goals, the defending is schoolboy defending from the Young Boys. So, yeah, fantastic stuff. Moving on quickly, actually. Yes, I said those Europa League results were interesting, but hey, Everton are the only representatives for Britain in the Europa League. So that's actually a very, very interesting one. So one of them was very, very interesting. But the round of 16 draw took place on Friday, 27th of February 2015, and that draw is as follows. The ties are to be played on the 12th, on the week of the 12th and 19th of March. So the first leg on the 12th, second leg on the 19th of March. Everton face Dynamo Kiev, which could be played behind closed doors because of crowd trouble. Dnipro from the Ukraine are lining up against AFC Ajax. Zenit St. Petersburg of Russia facing Torino of Italy. Wolfsburg of Germany facing Inter Milan of Italy. Villarreal of Spain facing Sevilla of Spain, the holders. So an all La Liga tie there, and the holders are involved in it. Napoli of Italy face Dinamo Moscow of Russia. Club Brugge of Belgium face Besiktas of Turkey. And Fiorentina of Italy face AS Roma of Italy. So an all Serie A tie there as well. So a couple of interesting ones there. Remember, that round of 16 draw for the Europa League will be played on the first leg on the 12th of March and the second leg on the 19th of March. I said Everton, the only British representatives, and we've got one all Spanish tie and one all Italian tie. So those are definitely the ones that stick out. I mean, Everton, Dynamo Kiev. I can see Dynamo Kiev beating them, in all honesty, but hey, we shall see. Jazzy Fizzle, you want to jump in?
Yeah, no, well, don't really have much to say other than, I think, especially with Tottenham's result, you have to think there's got to be one eye on the cup final.
Yeah. Right?
So you can't really hold it against them. Liverpool, look, the game went to penalties, and everybody knows that penalties is, it's a lottery. It's a little bit of a crapshoot. It's like playing roulette on an actual roulette table, not on one of the machines. But, it's just unfortunate. Same with Celtic, right? It's unfortunate. I mean, obviously, Celtic had the 3 away goal mountain to climb anyway, but that everybody seems to forget. With the teams that have fallen out of the Champions League and entering in, this really isn't a weak competition. It is really, this can actually stand beside the Champions League in terms of intrigue and interest as a competition, because all of these teams are so evenly matched. It's really not that big of a surprise. Fiorentina knocking off Tottenham is not a surprise.
No, not at all. No, not at all. I mean, it's an odd one because of the carrot at the end of it. The carrot at the end in terms of being able to qualify for the Champions League, even though there are stipulations within that as well, which closely went over during the Everton Young Boys match. It's still very appealing, but it's still from start to finish 19 matches. That's half a season added bolted on. So
yeah. And that's the other thing that makes it so interesting. So for any team to get to the final, they've put in the work. It really is that simple. They put in the work. And then, of course, if they happen to perform particularly well domestically as well, then you really are looking at a well-run club. So right about now, I have to say, I think the tournament is really starting to heat up. I personally hope that either Ajax or Roma win the tournament. My heart goes to Sevilla as well as the holders. I think it would be a really nice romantic story for them to be able to do it. But, again, it's so difficult, so difficult because everyone's so evenly matched.
I mean, Tom Wood, you wanted to jump in on the draw, didn't you?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Everton will probably get through.
Yeah.
I reckon Everton could get original and they as Roma.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one because Mike Harniman said something along kind of the same lines in terms of Everton having a decent draw. Mike, did you want to jump in on the draw?
Yeah, I just think Everton could have had a lot worse with the likes of Roma. They kind of, it's not the easiest draw they could have had, but like I'm saying, they could have had a lot worse as well. And Roma and their game against Inter, that'll be a really good game. I think I'm watching Roma now against Juve, and like if it's anything like this, it'll be a really good game. Like, this is only 0-0 at the moment, but I think it'll be quite good, quite enjoyable. And onto the Liverpool game as well. I just want to say that I'm surprised that Lovren actually took the final penalty, the deciding penalty, when you've got someone like Sterling on the pitch.
Yeah, it almost kind of showed. It was almost kind of like, you know what? Do we really want to be in this competition, or do we want to try and get top four? We want to try and get top four. So we'll see. If we get through to sudden death, we'll say Sterling for that. But otherwise, just let Lovren have it. And it was a high, wide, and butt ugly. It was a terrible penalty, but I'll leave it as that. Russ Vernon, you want to jump in quickly before we got to move on?
Yeah, because I was thinking, because I was listening to the Everton, I watched the Everton game afterwards. I was thinking Liverpool might try to go for a bit more, because during the commentary of the Everton game, the winners of this Europa League competition goes into the Champions League next season. Don't go into any of the knockout stages. They go straight into the group stage of the Champions League. So I thought,
but there are stipulations. But the only thing is, there are stipulations. There are stipulations which, as I said, Clive Tilsley went in depth into the stipulations, because if, say, I think he gave the example of, say, Everton winning the Europa League but placing outside the top 4, there would be 5 teams in the Champions League potentially. But it'd be one of them ones where I think it was a case of Everton would get bumped in at the 3rd qualifying round, instead of getting just fast tracked into the group stage. So there were a lot of kind of stipulations. There were a lot of stipulations around it and little loopholes. But it'd be one of them was, if I think it was said also, if the Champions League winners place, let's say Dortmund win the Champions League, then no, that's it. That's the stipulations. That's where it gets confusing. That's a stipulation. It'd be a case of, if, say, Borussia Dortmund were to win the Champions League, but place outside of the Champions League places in the Bundesliga, then if Everton won the Europa League, they would get dropped in at the 3rd qualifying round instead of going straight into the group stage. So there's all sorts of odd little stipulations around that. So it's a carrot. It's a nice little carrot. Double chances, I will say that much. But Swansea ended up getting the win. Jezzy, next result's yours, man.
I'll let you read it, right? Because you're on a roll right now, and my song's in the background. I was enjoying the song, man. So I'll let you read it out, and I'll just comment.
Sounds like James Brown, funk on a roll. I'm on a roll, I can't be moved. I love that tune. Man United 2, Sunderland 0. Wes Brown got sent off on 65 minutes. And Wayne Rooney converted the resulting penalty on 66 minutes, and he scored again on 84 minutes. Now, a little bit in terms of the supposed mistaken identity sending off. Not as stupid as a lot of people on social media made out. It was one of them ones. It should have been John O'Shea sent off. Let's get that out of the way right now. But the way Wes Brown kind of got involved, I think the referee must have thought, wait, it was Wes Brown who brought him down because of the angle that the referee had. But it should have been. But the fact of the matter is, if Wes Brown hadn't have come in, it would have been an easy thing, and John O'Shea would have walked, and John O'Shea should have walked. But it's a case of Wes Brown will feel aggrieved to be sent off for that, because if you look from the other side, it was clear that it was John O'Shea. But the fact of the matter is, it was a legit goal scoring opportunity denied. I think it was on Falcao. And one of them crap happens. Jezzy, your view?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, when I first heard about it, I was thinking, but they don't even look relatively like. I mean, Kieran Gibbs got sent off for Oxlade-Chamberlain's wonderful diving save. Even that, right? You're saying to yourself, well, that's just ridiculous, right? They don't even look that much alike. But in comparison to this, that could have been forgiven. It really could have. But with this, as I say, when you happen to look at it from the angle that the referee had, it's easy to see why he made that decision. But looking at it from other angles, it's clear to see why it was also the wrong decision. I think Sunderland have appealed, and I think they may have had that appeal accepted. I will have to delve deeper into the ongoing thread of that story. But I don't blame them for appealing, to be fair. But at the same time, right, I happen to give referees and their assistants a lot of stick. in terms of the respect campaign, and I say that, you know, they have basically one job to do and they get it wrong on a very consistent basis. But in this one, you know, I think it can be forgiven just a bit. But having said all that, though, you know, congratulations to Wayne Rooney. I think he's like scored 33 braces now.
Yeah, only
and he's like
Henry and Shearer have scored more.
Yeah, I think it's Alan Shearer, him, and like
Thierry Henry. Yeah,
Thierry Henry has 34 or something like that, and Shearer has something like 46, something ridiculous. But yeah, so congratulations to Wayne Rooney on that. But overall, it needs to be said, you know, this is a Manchester United team that looks to be, well, I want to say finding its feet, but it's inconsistent, and it's been inconsistent all season. But somehow this team has managed to go and find victory against Sunderland and won 2-0, right? And when you look at the stats, especially in terms of shots on target, right? For the whole game, Sunderland had 5 shots, 3 on target. Manchester United amassed 30 shots, right? With 10 on target. 30 shots. So I don't know what needs to happen in terms of training. I don't know if they need to just have players focusing on shooting in training in terms of improving accuracy. But, you know, at least the chances are being created. That's the biggest thing for me. The chances are being created. And at some point soon, all of it will have to click and will have to come good. And when that does happen, I fear for the rest of the league. I really do. Just because, right about the reason why I say
fear for the rest of the league.
This team is huffing and puffing, right, and not necessarily blowing anybody away right now.
Okay.
Right, but when they do, look out.
If they do,
that's all I'm saying.
If they do, because the same could be said for Aston Villa. Because the same could be said for Aston Villa. I mean, you look at Newcastle 1, Aston Villa 0. Papi Cisse getting the only goal of the game on 37 minutes.
Papi Demba
Cisse. But it's one of them was Aston Villa. It's one of them was, they're the complete opposite to you lot. Because you lot are creating the chances but being wasteful. Aston Villa just ain't creating many chances. So it's a lot harder to be wasteful when you're creating like 3 chances a game. But this is the thing. I mean, Tim Sherwood has even said,
right?
Tim Sherwood has even said, yeah, there's a lack of confidence there.
When you look at that game statistically, though, in terms of total shots, they were both even on 14, right? Newcastle had 5 on target, Aston Villa had 3. But here's my thing. I understand Tim Sherwood pointing out that there's a lack of confidence, but surely, right, somewhere, isn't it in his job description to fix that?
Yeah. It is.
Him going and pointing out, I would have thought, right, for anyone that is an Aston Villa fan who happens to be looking at the league table, right? Sorry, Dave. But if you are an Aston Villa fan and you're looking at the league table, you're saying to yourself, well, it's obvious there's a lack of confidence there. It's absolutely obvious. He's got to go in there. I don't know if he needs to bring a motivational speaker. Right? I don't know if he needs to bring a sports psychologist, a sports psychiatrist, and a faith healer, or bring them all in a van, right? But they need to change something, right? Because here's the thing: that game would have been fairer in terms of as a result if it was a draw. Much fairer result. Yeah. So my thing is this: to Tim Sherwood, while I understand him stating the obvious, I'm like, look, how about we take less time doing that and work on improving the psyche and mental attitude of all of the players in the dressing room right now, right? Because here's the thing, right? They are now in an absolute dogfight. That's what it's going to be for the rest of the season, an absolute dogfight. It is very, very close.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you've got Burnley and QPR all on 22 points, right? Leicester's not even that far behind, right, with 18, and Leicester have a game in hand. Let's not forget that. Right, so then Leicester, if they win their next game, got up to 21 points. It's only a point, between them and everybody else.
And that's what makes this whole thing interesting. I mean,
right. So, you know, for me, Aston Villa, I really am not bothered if they happen to scrape it and just survive the season, but they need to survive. It's as simple as that. They need to survive. And right about now, it is too close, right, for them to have a manager saying, yeah, they look short on confidence. Fix it, right? and get the team out of this relegation dogfight. That's what they brought you in for. That's what they're paying you for. So how about you do that as opposed to saying, "Oh, they're short of confidence." It's obvious. I can sit here and say that.
Yeah.
Davy Boy Cameron, co-prime minister, he can say that. And he's a Villa fan.
Oh, that was the world and his wife can see it. Even Sepp Blatter could probably. No, actually, I'm not going that far. But I mean, Mike Harniman has also said Sherwood as manager needs to be the one who works with confidence. So agreeing with you, they were terrible against Arsenal a few weeks ago. Took them 93 minutes to have a shot on target and we're already 5-0 down. But they have. Well, it's one of them was Villa's next game, West Brom at Villa Park. So that's massive, and it's a big chance for them to get a win against local rivals, because the fact of the matter is, in local derbies, usually the form book goes out of the window, and that'll be a good thing for Aston Villa if the form book goes out of the window. It will be a good thing.
I think they need that to happen, because right about now, if the form book is anything to go by, they're one of my favourites to get relegated, and that's a shame.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, shifted on in terms of results though. Stoke 1, Hull City 0. Peter Crouch getting the only goal of the game on 71 minutes, using his loaf, using his melon, using his head. West Brom 1, Southampton 0. Saido Berahino with a fantastic finish.
Goal of the week contender.
Yes. Whether it gets it, we'll see. Whether it gets it,
Keep it tuned for stuff of the week later on.
Stuff of the week is later on in the show, baby. Later on in the show there, baby. It's one of them ones, baby. But let's jump in terms of Saturday's results. Let's jump into Sky Bet Championship briefly. Cardiff 0, Wolves 1. Bakary Sakho getting the only goal of the game on 26 minutes. Peter Whittingham got sent off, actually. He got his first yellow on 57, second yellow on 65. Leeds United 2, Watford 3. Another defeat for Leeds United. Sorry, had to. Billy Sharp scoring on 7 minutes. Rudy Austin scoring on 19 minutes. Troy Deeney scored on 39 minutes. And Matej Vidra scored on 56 and 81 minutes. Jumping down briefly. I'm sorry. It wasn't supposed to sound that cold, but it was too funny.
No. Here's my thing, right? If you're gonna laugh at Leeds, okay, and if you're gonna laugh at Russ specifically, right? Let me demonstrate how you do that. You do it like this.
Oh, that's living. I'm tempted to Jesus
like
face palm on that one. That's cruel. Need to record that. So living. Oh my god. Jumping down to Sky Bet League 2, Southend 2, Carlisle 0. Tim Lynn opened scored on 50 minutes, and Kerr scored on 72 minutes. Wickham 2, Stevenage 2. Big shout out to Ollie Wooding, by the way, Wickham supporter. Onye Dinma scoring on 10 minutes to open the scoring, and Pett scoring on 30 minutes to equalise. Parrott scoring on in first half stoppage time, and Onye Dinma scoring again on 71 minutes. Beardsley was actually sent off on 75 minutes after being booked on 66 minutes. Let's throw this out just for a second. Kieran Riley, you okay? Give us a little quick summary of Cardiff v Wolves.
Well, I didn't see the game because I was at the Blues game at the time, but from what I saw in the highlights, we played well, had good possession, came up with a few chances, only convert for one goal, but that was brilliant play from obviously our top players at Phoebe, which was Nate, who was named Capital One Cup goal scorer of this tournament with 6 goals. But it was a fantastic setup. Obviously, only won it 1-0. Had a few chances in the second half, but Cardiff held off. They had a few chances themselves, but 1-0 Wolves, onwards and upwards, 3 straight wins.
I hear that. Russ Vernon, your view could very quickly on Leeds v Watford. Another defeat, 2 in a week, flop of the week contention. Stuff of the week is later on in the show.
Yeah, we in this game we started off brilliantly. Probably a play from Watford to gift us the opening goal of the game. Well, then a fantastic goal and a goal of the week contender from Rudolph Austin. 20 years out, just lobbed it over the keeper. Saw the keeper on the edge of the 6-yard box, brilliant finish, but then all through the middle. Can't give Watford too much space. Good side of Watford. Deeney punishes the defence. Bamber and Scott Wotton. In the second half, Watford broke quickly after Leeds had a couple of good chances early on. Austin and Sharp going close to put Leeds further in front. Watford punished Leeds. Deeney played the ball across, and then was Matthias Vidra to score to make it 2-2 in the game. And then Vidra completed the comeback for Watford with 9 minutes to go. 3-2 the final score. Leeds played Ipswich on Wednesday, where we're looking to get back to winning ways at Ellen Road. If you can get there, make sure you do, and support the lads and support the team. Tweeted out my report earlier today. Tweeted Pitch Talk, they're going to retweet it later. Tweeted G-Man and Jesse and Liam as well themselves. So hopefully they'll retweet us later as well. So give it to me if you got time.
Well, you know, let's shift on because the Sky Bet League 2 results. Southend Carlisle. Tom Wood, your view.
Good game actually. We scored about 4-0, but we had an under-19 goalkeeper in goal because our first choice keepers were injured. So we had an England under-19 goalkeeper making his second home start, and hopefully he's not playing tomorrow. He nearly gave away a penalty on Saturday. It was a blatant penalty, and the referee didn't give it as we had Trevor Kettle in charge as ref. But I know Stevenage missed a penalty on Saturday as well.
We're going to get into that in just a second. In terms of Stevenage, we're going to get into that in a second. Let's go. Let's actually go into that. Mike Harniman, Stevenage Wickham, your view.
Yeah, a point away from home is always, better than nothing anyway, especially if the side you're playing, they're like 3rd, 4th in the league. But to be so close to winning it, 96th minute, Ben Kennedy, Super Ben Kennedy, the young lad, only 18, he's signed a professional contract 2 weeks ago, and he's literally, he looks class, but he literally looks like, well, the commentators were saying he was kind of like a bit like Gascoigne. He's got dodgy hair and everything. But yeah, he's basically making a lot of difference for us at the moment. He won the penalty as well in the 96th minute after Tom Pett, who's just come back from injury, scored quite a decent header, and Parrott sneaked in a free kick as well to put us 2-1 up just before half time. And then let Wickham get back into it. Wasn't great. Chris Day for the first goal. Their first goal was a bit shaky, and for somebody of his experience as well, who's been around the leagues, he should be doing a lot better than what he did. But the keepers have days like that. He might have had an off day. He might have just made a mistake. You don't really know. But I think, a point's all right away from home, and we've got Plymouth tomorrow at the Lamex, and another side who are in and around us going for the playoffs as well. So we've got to pick up as many points as we can.
I hear that. It's going to be an interesting. By the way, just on a complete side note, Brad Hicks, big shout out to Brad Hicks, who turned 21 on Thursday. Big time shout out. So many birthdays have happened in the last week, so it's one of them ones. Apologies for that. Big show. But it is one of those. It is time to go on to Sunday. Sunday, 1st of March 2015. And we're going to start with Arsenal 2, Everton 0. Olivier Giroud opening the scoring on 39 minutes. Thomas Rosicky scoring on 89 minutes. And with the live bird upon my chest, this is the result I love the best, because Liverpool 2, Man City 1, Liverpool 2, Man City 1. Jordan Henderson with an belter opened the scoring on 11 minutes. When I saw it later on, I was like, is that you, Hendo? Is that you? That's all. The phone shop references. Is that you? Is that you, cuzzy? Is what it was. But Edin Dzeko equalised after quite a slick move from Man City on 25 minutes. But Philippe Coutinho, oh my! When I saw this goal, my jaw hit the floor. It was like, oh. It was like, oh, what the? It was like, bomba. Oh. That was just tremendous. But you know what? Yeah, You know, Liverpool Man City. It's a case of I watched that game back earlier today, and fact of the matter is, on balance of play, we were right, and once again, Man City went with that 4-4-2, and it just didn't work because they were so open in the midfield. Vincent Kompany at times looks like a deer on ice when he's playing, and well, it's bloody hell. It's
how the fans felt. It was a very, very important performance, and I thought Arsenal did particularly well. Gabriel Paulista stood out for me. Very, very nervy, very, very shaky start with Romelu Lukaku pipping the ball off of him for absolutely no reason, other than, he was just dilly-dallying and taking his sweet time. But one of the recovery challenges that he made in the box against Romelu Lukaku,
brilliant, yeah, that
justified his transfer fee, to me personally. If he does that on a consistent basis, he is well worth the money that Arsenal paid for him. And then some. Because those are the kinds of types of defending that you want from your centre backs. And then, of course, he showed his ability to get off the deck and take the ball out of defence as well. And after that, it seemed like his confidence seemed to rise. And overall, I thought he had a great game. I really do. I think it's one of your first few games for the club to endear yourself to the fans, to endear yourself to the coaches, the manager, and the other players. That's the kind of performance that you need. And I think that was the kind of performance that Arsenal as a team needed. And I think it lifted the team. Olivier Giroud's goal, for me, a very good goal. A little bit fortuitous, needs to be said, but still a very good goal. And again, I think he needed that for his confidence. And overall, for me, Arsenal deserved a victory. Now, they could have had a penalty from Phil Jagielka's handball. Very, very sly. He played it very well, but should have been a penalty for me. And then, of course, Thomas Rositzky, he comes off the bench, he scores. I mean, yes, it's a deflection, but again, I think, solid performance from Arsenal. What they needed to bounce back in terms of giving them some pep in their step going into the next few games. And it was an important win. Now, for Everton, the counterbalance is, they did well in Europe, but in the league and domestically, it's been very, very stop-start for them all season. And you were hoping, if you're a Toffee fan, if you're on the blue side of the Mersey, that, you'd see a bit more from this team. And right about now, they seem to be stuck. I don't know if it's first gear or in between first and second gear, but they definitely seem stuck at the moment, especially domestically. Now, going over to Liverpool and Man City, I thought that starting without either Daniel Sturridge or Mario Balotelli was quite interesting, and having Raheem Sterling leading the line, I thought that may have been a bit of a bad move. But I was proved wrong by the Brudge. I thought Liverpool played very, very well. This 3-4-3/3-5-2, whatever you want to call it, whatever kind of formation, it's very, very fluid anyway. It easily morphs into a 4-3-3 as well. But having said that, I think, tactically, Liverpool were excellent. Felipe Coutinho, right about now, he is one of the best creative players in a number 10 role in the Premier League for me right now. What he is now is what Oscar was, say, maybe last season and the season before.
And he plays very similar. He plays very similarly to a David Silva, getting between the lines. The little magician. For me, creatively, he's been the heartbeat of that Liverpool going forward.
Against
Besiktas, you saw a notable difference without him. I think it's taken the pressure off of Raheem Sterling now. He's actually stood up and been kind. I think his progression in terms of him showing what he's capable of has been very similar to that of Jordan Henderson. And when you go and look at the goals that they scored, two absolutely fantastic goals. I think, the goal of the week contendership, literally just between those two. Martin said it after the game. It was Adam Lallana, oddly enough, where he says that Felipe Coutinho could have a goal of the month competition by himself. The Southampton last
with the
week.
Goals. Absolutely top quality goals. But going over to Manchester City, I have to say 4-4-2, I don't know what the obsession is, but it's just not working. It's not working. And I think Manuel Pellegrini needs to work out what he wants to do with Yaya Toure, in that generally how Yaya Toure gives you his best is that he starts a game in a deep position as that sort of destroyer, that spoiler that can also distribute play and make runs, and then later on in the game, when other players will tire, he then moves forward and makes those long bursting runs where he's just, for all intents and purposes, right, and just shoves off players left and right. And you didn't see that from Yaya Toure. Midfield were disorganised, and that's why they got beat. The game was won and lost in midfield.
Yeah, especially with such a good performance from Coutinho.
Clearly out of form. Ekolo Mangala, he's not the ideal partner for Vincent Kompany right now. Vincent Kompany needs somebody. I tell you who would probably be better for him right now. Martin Demichelis.
I thought you were going to say Martin Skirtle.
Because he is much more level-headed and probably can talk him through this difficult time. Whereas with Mangala, Kompany has to take on the responsibility to walk him through it. And if he's not performing particularly well, what do you think is going to happen to the guy that's playing next to him that he's having to teach? There's not going to be a lot of good that comes from that, right? But up front, it needs to be said that Manchester City, they were sharp. They were sharp. And if it wasn't for, the inside of the post, you probably would have seen more goals from Sergio Aguero.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
So I think the midfield needs to get sorted out. They need to ditch the 4-4-2. They need to shore it up. I honestly feel like what needs to happen is they play the trio of Fernandinho, and Yaya Toure, or a combination of Fernandinho, Yaya Toure, and James Milner in the middle of the park. Just to solidify
just to crowd it out,
right? With Silva and Nasri on the wings, drifting inside, with Aguero leading the line because he's their best out-and-out natural goal scorer. I think that, just to stabilise things for a couple of games, we'll see Manchester City change. But right about now, Pellegrini seems to be intent on playing two up top, whether it's Jovetic and Aguero or Dzeko and Aguero. And well done to Dzeko, by the way. He took his finish very well. For a player that's kind of been in and out.
I'll agree with that. Lovren is the weak link in that back three, by the way.
Fair enough. Clearly. But I think that, again, just mentally, I felt that maybe a lot of the Manchester City players thought that they could just turn up and that would mean a victory. And, this Liverpool team, they've come on week after week. They're growing in understanding, growing in confidence. And you can't simply just show up and beat Liverpool at the moment. That's not the kind of form that they're in. Right about now, you literally have to pay attention, put in the effort, attack the weak areas, as you say, Dejan Lovren being one of them. And that's how you get the victory. Otherwise, this is a Liverpool team. When you look at the pace going forward, right? So you've got Sterling, you've got Lallana, you've got Coutinho. All very quick, agile, mobile players. You throw Jordan Ivan there, who's very, very lively. Right, put in a Daniel Sturridge when he's back to full fitness, and that is a scary looking front line on a counter attack at speed.
Yeah, and at the back, and in midfield, it's actually not half bad either. The only way we really get bothered with tightened up on set pieces quite a bit, but it's in those wide areas. Southampton looked like they'd figured it out, because if you play three at the back, you're pretty narrow. That's the only thing. If your wing backs ain't working, then you're going to get overran, or if your wing backs get forced back, then you're under pressure quite a bit. So if you got wingers willing to hug the touchlines and fullbacks getting involved as well, then you can get overloaded. But because we make stuff, because we've got obviously the far across midfield, it kind of works. It kind of works because it crowds that out, and as long as we keep possession, we're all right. It is an interesting one. There are ways of getting beaten by everyone, but can you do it? But you know what? Yeah, Mike Harniman, you wanted to jump in on Arsenal Everton before we move on to the final result and then an A-League roundup.
Yeah, I thought it was, like what Jesse said, a game we kind of had to win at all costs. And after Wednesday, to see somebody like Ozil get a couple of assists as well. When obviously I know I was slating him as much as everyone else as well, but to see him get involved, get a few assists, Giroud getting the goal, that was nice as well to get his confidence up a little bit after missing the chances he missed on Wednesday. That was nice to see him score. Rosicky, he works so hard, and he doesn't get a fair chance from me, so it's good to see him come on and make an impact as well. I think Paulista, as you said, he's a really good player. He knows how to make a tackle. He knows not to dive in, and the best ways of winning the ball and so on. He kind of measures himself to do it. And Mertesacker can be a bit silly at times, to be honest. And even against Middlesbrough, Paulista looked good then as well when I was at that game. He looks like he could be a good player for us and can form a good partnership with Koscielny. And basically, you could see that the result was all that mattered, really. There was kind of a big factor in the fans as well. As I said off air, there wasn't much noise until even Aaron Lennon came on, and that was like the 60-something minute. So the place was a bit flat, and that kind of showed. But the result was all that mattered at the end of the day, and to be back up to third in the league, can't ask for much more than that, to be honest. And just on another side note as well, just a little side note, I thought Ospina played really well again, and the way he came out against who was it, Lukaku?
Yeah, and the slide tackle as well.
Man played fullback, and then he basically ran on and slid it out for a throw on. If that was Szczesny, he'd have stood there or done what he done against Bayern and got sent off. But
you know what the thing is though, this little race. I mean, you look at the top. You got Chelsea on 60 with 26 played. You got Man City on 55, Arsenal on 51, Man United on 50, us Liverpool on 48, Southampton 46, Tottenham 44. That's how tight it is at the top. In those top 7 in that position, it is nuts how tight it is.
I was looking straight away. I was looking at the next game, seeing who we've got, who Liverpool have got, who United have got, because I'm straight away onto the next game. Obviously, we've got QPR away.
Yeah, we got Burnley. We got Burnley at home.
Being a London derby, that's going to be difficult because QPR are fighting for their lives.
I mean, it's going to be an interesting. I mean, Man United are at Newcastle away, and Tottenham have got Swansea at home. No pushovers there, so it's very, very interesting. It is very, very interesting. I mean, you got Leicester City fighting for their lives, but they're going to the Etihad, so it's going to be interesting stuff. West Ham, Chelsea, always an interesting game. So we're looking forward. Speaking of Chelsea, actually, because it's a cup final, I got to preface it like this. Capital One Cup final went down like this. Chelsea 2, Tottenham 0. The winners of this match and new Capital One Cup champions, Chelsea Football Club. John Terry opened the scoring on 45 minutes, right on half-time, and a Kyle Walker own goal settled the game on 56 minutes. As said, myself and Jazzy Fizzle had a lot of fun. Thank you to the Tottenham and Chelsea fans that gave us interviews before and after the match on Wembley Way again. And you know what? This match, not the greatest final from a neutral perspective. Chelsea, in my view, it was a case of, I mean, Eriksson had a wonderful chance for a free kick and smacked the crossbar. I was unlucky with that. But on a general basis, Tottenham looked like, apart from trying to supply Harry Kane, they didn't really have much in the way of ideas. They didn't have a plan B, and I think that's what buggered them over, because Chelsea were willing in that first half. All Chelsea were doing was just sitting back. You had Diego Costa trying to play his histrionics, trying to play the innocent party when he looks about as innocent as O.J. Simpson. But it's one of them. The fact of the matter is, with Chelsea, they were willing to sit back, and hey, they got their break on a set piece because of Tottenham's poor marking. Chelsea, was it? John Terry had no one around him, so it was a case of boom. There we go, free volley. But the Kyle Walker own goal, I mean, Lloris was expecting that ball to go clean across the face of goal. So that's why he left that chasm of space at the front post and got beaten front post, near post. But Kyle Walker, for me, in one way he did the right thing, but in another way he did the wrong thing, because he showed Costa the outside, which as a fullback, that's what you're told to do. That's what you're shown to do. That's what you need to do. Show the striker the outside, so that they've got to do an extra bit of work to beat you. But the one thing that Walker for me did wrong is just purely because he wasn't tight enough. He wasn't tight enough. It was one of them, was all good showing someone the outside, but if you ain't gonna get tight to him, it doesn't matter, because you've not only now given them the outside, you've given them the space to flash a ball across the box, and because Walker wasn't that tight, ball deflects in off him, and then goes right in. So it's one of them. Was Jezzy, you want to jump in on the Capital One Cup final? And if any of the Skypers want to jump in quickly before we move on to our A-League roundup, let us know on Skype.
Yeah, I mean, I personally thought, it was a game of two halves. I thought the first half, Tottenham were very good. Going forward, they offered, a fair amount of threat. But as we say week in, week out, yes, they had the possession, but they didn't have the required penetration. They weren't really that threatening. Chelsea were built in this game to sit back and soak up all of the pressure, right? And that's what they did. First half, they soaked up the pressure. I think they had like Gary Cahill playing defensive midfield, or him and Kurt Zuma interchanging. But essentially, right, what Chelsea did, they came out much like Liverpool as a 3-4-3. That's what it was. That was interchangeable with a 4-3-3. That's what they've done, right, in terms of tactical setup. And they stifled Harry Kane. Harry Kane is arguably the driving force for Tottenham at the minute and major goal threat. So he was kept quiet. Christian Eriksen had moments, but one of them being when he hit the crossbar from the free kick. That was very much, because I was even saying to the straight shooting one, before he took the free kick, I said, listen, if he happens to channel his Ajax form, and he was like, Ajax form? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
he's been doing it like the last few months.
Yeah,
like,
I was like, now, Bridget, now.
Like, yes, I'm aware of that. If he channels his Ajax form, right, then this can get really tasty. And then, of course, he hits the crossbar. So, there was that. But in terms of any other major moments for Tottenham going forward where they actually had a threat on goal, there wasn't really much more of it. And then, of course, there was the Chelsea sucker punch, right? John Terry scoring just before half-time, second phase of the corner. He's left totally unmarked by himself, acres of space, and he's comfortable to volley home. And then, of course, the timing of the goal, right? It really was like being punched in the gut. Really, really, really hard.
Kidney blow. Like in the old Knockout Kings 99 game. Kidney blow.
It's just straight down to one knee, and, breathing heavy, and, you sound like Peter Griffin because you're like, right? And that's what it was. And I think it kind of took the air out of all the Tottenham fans in the stands, right? Even though the really interesting thing about the Tottenham fans was before the game and even after the game, they were the ones you heard more than anybody else.
Yeah. Well, they were really chatty with us. I loved it.
But having said all that, second half, Tottenham, they were trying. They were like a little engine that could, but just didn't. And Chelsea came up much more attacking, much more direct, and that was what led to the second goal. Now, I know you said that Hugo Lloris shouldn't have been beaten there, SSLJ, and I agree with you. He shouldn't have been beaten there. But, right, when you look at it, it was a well-struck shot. Kyle Walker, he was a little bit unlucky with the deflection. That needs to be said.
He wasn't
He did
tight
the right
enough.
thing, just wasn't close enough.
Yeah.
Right? And Hugo Lloris was already going in the opposite direction, trying to cover the far post, maybe anticipating a cross. When the shot comes in, gets deflected, and just goes past his hand, right? But after that, as I say, what did Tottenham really offer as a goal threat? There wasn't really much. And you can see where the limitations in this side is. And it's basically, if Harry Kane doesn't get the ball in and around the box, there really isn't much of a threat. You know, Tottenham will pass the ball backwards, sideways, you know, and occasionally foray forward. But in terms of a legitimate threat, outside of Harry Kane and outside of Christian Eriksen deciding, right, I'm putting on my Superman cape, unlike Madonna, and deciding to take over the game, right? There really isn't much of a threat going forward for Tottenham. I mean, even if you ask Tottenham fans, right, and you say, who did Tottenham have to play up front outside of Harry Kane? Most of them struggle. When you happen to point out, oh yeah, there's Roberto Soldado, they're like, who?
Oh, when he was about to come on, when we were in the sports cafe by Wembley Park, it was that when Soldado came on, one of the Tottenham fans goes, "Yeah, we're gonna win this 3-2," and they just started busting up laughing. It was like, oh, that's taking the mickey. But also there was the Adebayor chant. Yeah, Adebayor, we're the best club you've played for, Adebayor. Such a living. But I mean, it's all that was. I mean, Soldado is, or no Goldado as your backup is fantastic. Yeah. It's like,
and that's the thing. So when you look at that, there's not a lot of faith in Tottenham fans. And having said that, right, a lot of the Tottenham fans that we interviewed before the game, they were actually saying, yeah, we expect to lose. So I'm like, I'm a big fan of self-fulfilling prophecies at the moment. All right. So if all of these Tottenham fans that happen to be going into the stadium, supporting, in inverted commas, the team, all believe that they're going to lose and at least lose by 2 clear goals, what did they think was going to happen? Just throwing it out there to the universe. Yeah. True. See what sticks. But having said all that, though, I think, you know what? You have to congratulate Chelsea. You do, because they did what they came to do. They did a job. They didn't quite park a bus, maybe, I don't know, like an SUV, but not a bus. Right, and you know, defensively they were solid, right? Defensively, how many moments could you say you were actually worried that Tottenham would score? Not that many.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. A lot of their threat was from distance, low shots. Czech had a pretty easy ride of it. He did.
That was it,
have a pretty easy
right?
ride.
So bearing that in mind, I think the most controversial thing that happened, you know, surrounding the whole cup final was Nemanja Matic doing his best John Terry impersonation. That was about it.
Yeah, full kit.
Outside.
Oh, I can't even finish that line. He went full kit on it.
He did. Right. So I'm like, outside of that, everything else was more or less routine. Tottenham fans expected to lose. Tottenham players probably expected to lose. Chelsea expected to win. Everybody else expected Chelsea to win. And that was what happened. Yeah, you know, but having said that, though, I think when you look at this Tottenham team, they are progressing in the right direction, generally speaking. And when you look at this Chelsea team, look, this is what they're built for. This is how they do things. They're not always going to be flash and pizzazz. Yeah, sometimes they are going to bore you into submission and then give you a quick 5-punch combo, put you on the floor, and that's it. Game over.
Combo breaker.
Literally.
Little old killer instinct.
So,
reference.
you know, as I said, congratulations to all the Chelsea fans. Commiserations to all the Tottenham fans. And you know what? I'm very, very happy for all the football fans because it was a good advert for football. It really was. It shows you that sometimes, right, with a good technical setup, strategically speaking, right, if you have that, you've got the basis of any kind of victory. And that's what that showed. Right? It showed that after the 5-3, Jose Mourinho went, did his study, had his team together, said, look, we're not going to be left open like this again. We're locking this down. That's what they did. Got the 2-0, got the cup, and now they can focus on Europe and the league.
Yeah. Fair dues. Fair dues. Credit where it's due. Fair dues. Well, that was. I mean, Ryan Sonley, you wanted to jump in on the Capital One Cup final before we move on?
Well, yeah, I thought Christian Eriksen's free kick against Chelsea was a good free kick, and I thought it was just going to creep in. But then it hit the crossbar, and I was just gutted for Tottenham in a way that they didn't get a goal. They deserved one, but they were unlucky. Harry Kane could have had one or two good chances. He had one or two good chances, and I mean, Andros Townsend cutting in, like blocking off John Terry and taking him the wrong way, and Harry Kane having a shot at Czech. and I thought, well, there could be a goal here, and then Czech saves it comfortably. So, I mean, Chelsea deserved it. I mean, overall, even though it was a bit of a poor game, I thought Chelsea were the better team.
Yeah, no, I'll go with you on that. Because I said I didn't think it was brilliant as a match. As a contest, it was good, but as a match, it was like, all right, kind of take or leave it. Not the most exciting Capital One Cup final I've ever seen, but it was one of them ones where it was good. By the way, remember we did interviews on Wembley Way pre and post match as well with Jazzy Fizzle hosting the show. So there's one of them was Pitch Talk at the Capital One Cup Final 2015 is coming soon. That video is coming soon. So keep your eyes on Pitch Talk on Twitter, on Facebook, on Google Plus, everywhere. Keep an eye for links to that YouTube video, which will be coming within the next few days. I have one question, and that question is, Ian Kerr, are you with us?
I'm with yous.
Then, for the thousands in attendance, with also a shout out to Tom Wood's mate Ryan Welton, who's listening to the show via YouTube, along with the millions listening via YouTube and Mixler as well. Oh, let's get ready for some A-League roundup. Let's go into... Oh, you didn't know? Ian Kerr's going to tell you about A-League football.
It's not Monday if Liam doesn't sing to me. That's all I have to say about that. Your check's in the mail, as always, Liam. Now, did you know that in the UK they were planning to phase out checks by the year 2018? Anyway, that's a whole other story. I can bore you with that another time. I'm full of interesting and otherwise useless information. Now, let's get down to brass tacks here. The last round of A-League football, as we so describe it, they often have themed rounds in Australia. Now, I don't know why. Okay, just it's inexplicable. But they'll have, rivalry round or people whose head looks like a paper bag round and things like this. Well, the last round could well have been, and get your minds out of the gutters, everybody, it could have been come from behind round, because it was a constant theme throughout the round was teams coming to overcome a deficit. Let's put it that way. Overcome a deficit round. You can't turn that into anything smutty, can you?
Call it the Greek round, trying to overturn the deficit.
Stop.
I went down a completely different route there. Oh, jeez. Sorry. Of course, in Australia, route has two different meanings. Anyway.
No. Oh, you made me want to watch Summer Heights High again.
And I was going to chastise all of you for having smutty minds, and there I've trumped the lot of you with that one, haven't I? Now, Friday night, Melbourne City 3, Adelaide United 1. Adelaide United went up 1-0, and then Melbourne City just decided to learn how to score. And they went bananas. They were led by former Socceroo striker Josh Kennedy. All of you playing along at home would know that he played in the Bundesliga, and he more recently played in Japan's J-League, and he's come back to Australia and has turned out for Melbourne City. Melbourne City finally has a forward. They've finally managed to replace David Villa. So 3-1, Melbourne City. They actually won a game. Saturday, they have something called the F3 Derby. Now, a derby named after a highway. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It doesn't sound particularly entertaining, does it? And it wasn't. It was a 0-0 ball draw. But then Saturday night made up for it. Saturday night was bonkers. And I say that with a capital B, bonkers. The Sydney Derby was held out in Western Sydney. Western Sydney hosted Sydney. And Sydney were up 2-0. And I thought, oh, well, that was in the first half. That's that. I went off to the shops with the wife. Came back and it was 3-3. It was one of those silly games. Then Sydney scored the winner, went 4-3 win, another, well, dare I say it, instant classic over there in Western Sydney. Saturday night, there was a double header, in fact, because after the Western Sydney game, it was Perth Glory hosting Brisbane Roar. Perth Glory still top of the table, drew 2-2 with Brisbane Roar. And then Sunday, Melbourne Victory, Melbourne Victory. They're a hard team to love. I was having this discussion the other day with my assistant editor. And we were talking about how, when you fall in love with a team, it's because they've done something it's full of character. Just think about when you first fell in love with the team that you support. Melbourne Victory, they just tend to win. They win a game 3-1 or something like that. They never have these amazing come-from-behind wins. Well, the boot was on the other foot on Sunday because Wellington Phoenix came from 2-0 down to win 3-2. So well done. No, sorry, I went 2-1. They were 2-1 down, came back to win 3-2. On Sunday. So that leaves the table looking a little bit like this. Perth Glory still top. They host Melbourne Victory next weekend. Melbourne Victory are second. Adelaide United third. Wellington Phoenix fourth. Now, all those three teams are on 33 points. Sydney FC in fifth. And Melbourne City snuck back into the top six. That's what your petrodollars can do, everybody. You can get a top six position in a 10-team league. Brisbane Roar, Central Coast Mariners, Newcastle Jets, and propping up the bottom of the table, Western Sydney Wanderers. Now, a couple of quick little tidbits for the Pitch Talk family. Western Sydney Wanderers might be bottom of the table, but they are playing in the Asian Champions League. I know the Asian Champions League only finished a couple of months ago. Well, it started again. Western Sydney Wanderers and Brisbane Roar are the two teams that are competing. The first round took place this week. I have no idea about the results. Ask me next week and I might have bothered to do my research on it. The other thing is that I talk about petrodollars. I know I mock Melbourne City every week, but they've actually managed to set up their own youth academy in Melbourne, which is a bit of a first because Australians, the A-League teams, haven't really had a big reputation, shall we say, in developing youth. In fact, it's going to be a bit of a hole in the Australian senior team and in the Socceroos team in coming years, because there's been a lack of development of youth over the last 10 years. So a lot of Australia's senior players are in their late 20s, early 30s. So it'll be interesting to see how Australia manages to produce elite players or players that are good enough to play in the national team in years to come. Anyway, there you go. That's not a bad little roundup. I've managed to do that without barely taking a breath. Liam, back to you.
He did it without taking a breath as well. There was a couple round of us track one. Oh, I love it. I love it. But, Ian, the usual question has to be fired out. First and foremost, where can we find information about the Thin White Line podcast? And where can we find out information about Thin White Line magazine and all the lovely, wonderful merch that there is to do with Thin White Line magazine?
Merch sounds like some sort of disease, doesn't it? Oh, I can't come tonight. I've come down with merch. Oh, yes. There's an ointment for that, dear. Yes. Merch. Oh, yes. My uncle, he died of merch. Oh, yes. If you don't get onto it when you first come down with merch, it can be really quite serious.
Come on, Sonny. We have to get you to the doctor, Sonny.
Oh, dear, yes. Channeling your inner Murdoch there from the A-team, Liam. Very impressive. Now, very quickly, the website, thinwhitelinemagazine.com. That's where you can, A, buy magazines, B, buy merch, T-shirts, as we like to call them, and C, you can read interesting articles, such as the one by Thomas Hewitt, which we published during the week on the disabled, their access to the game, and being abused at the game. Interesting little topic. You can follow us on Twitter, Tweaked White Line. That's where all the hip young cats are following us on Twitter, believe me. There's Instagram. We're not vain enough to really post photos of ourselves on Instagram, photos of us in our bikinis, which is basically what Instagram is. If you ever had a look at Instagram, it's vain teenage chicks posing. Anyway, and where
that's why Adam Johnson's in trouble. No, I'm kidding.
No, let's keep it above board here. Facebook, we're on the old Facebook, and we're somewhere else as well. Google Plus, believe it or not, we're on Google Plus. I don't know, just to cover all the bases. We're not on MySpace.
Well, in all but name. But these are going Bebo as well,
Hey, don't forget Wayne. Don't forget Wayne now.
Oh, where are you now? Oh my God, I forgot about that one. I
What was
actually forgot about that. Babe.
That was Christian Vieri's nickname. That was Bobo, of course. You know why they call him Bobo? It's because whenever he used to answer a question, he goes, Bo.
You just reminded me of one of your Croats. Zvonimir Boban. So I just remembered him as well.
Zvonimir Boban. There you go.
Going back a bit.
Bit of a flashback there. I'm amazed you're old enough to remember someone like
that. Wasn't
Boban.
even a scripted ad lib either. Oh, old enough. I'm 29 in a couple of weeks. Anyway.
You are so old. You'll be joining me in flop of the week soon enough, won't you, Liam? You know, I always think that's some sort of personal front. You know, it doesn't mean I can't. Okay, so there.
Oh, wouldn't that be flop?
How many of the pitch talk guidelines have I violated?
I was going to say, you're talking about that, and then you'd say violate it. Oh God. I'm not. With the hilarity has just that reminds us is time to swing into just a few messages. That's where we're going. So a big thank you to Ian Kerr of Thin White Line Magazine, thinwhitelinemagazine.com, facebook.com/Thin White Line Magazine, and also at Tweet White Line as well. We will be back in a couple of minutes. Just going into a little pause for the cause. See you in a minute, folks. The football talk show that holds back nothing on opinions.
Straight shooting LJA.
Hi, I'm John Sitton.
Grassroots coach Manisha Taylor.
Hello, I'm Rob Perez.
G-Man.
Samira Sonley, Motivate Sports and Fitness.
Christian Carambeu.
Matt Hodgson, director of the 4-year plan.
We the people, for the people. Jazzy Fizzle.
Your Monday night footballing fix.
Make sure you join the revolution.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk. Each and every Monday night of your lives.
At youtube.com/pitch talk.
For podcast links and information, check out our official website, www.pitch-talk.com. Your Monday night footballing fix, Pitch Talk, is brought to you by and in association with.
Facilities are provided for your Monday night footballing fix by In Situ. Create, engage, and inspire by visiting insitu.co.
Simply Exclusive Entertainment. If you need a party or rave film, go to sxemedia.com for more information.
Apparently Rich. Simple yet effective web solutions to help get your company off the ground. Visit apparentlyrich.com for more information. And LJA Productions, the new blood in digital video. If you need a video filmed and or edited, check out ljaproductions.co.uk. LJA Productions, the new blood in digital video, offering video production, video editing, video encoding for the web, including YouTube and Vimeo, audio recording, filming of interviews, promos, live events, and much more. Get in touch at www.ljaproductions.co.uk or twitter.com/LJA Productions and let the new blood in digital video promote you. Pitch Talk is brought to you by and in association with
The one-stop shop for all your coaching needs, Motivate Sports and Fitness. Check out motivatesportsandfitness.com for more information.
The new football culture magazine, Thin White Line. Check out thinwhitelinemagazine.com for more information.
Storm FM with new hot releases played daily. Feel the boom at stormfm.net.
Two girls with their Bonnie Scotty trying to cover as much women's football as they can. Girls on the Ball. Check out girlsontheball.com for more information.
Hello, I'm Rob Perez.
Grassroots coach Manisha Taylor.
Christian Carambeu.
Matt Hodgson, director of the 4-year plan.
Dave McLaughlin.
I'm Rob Lusher.
Andy Copeland from the Glennet Southern Amateur League.
Philip Wick, I'm CEO of 14.
Former chairman of Ibis FC.
Chairman of Alexandra Park FC.
And you're listening to
Pitch Talk.
The only place to get your Monday night footballing fix.
Because the pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk. Make sure you join the revolution, the football revolution.
General talking points.
Minus 5 stars. Minus 5 stars. Minus 5 stars. Minus 5 stars.
La da 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 do 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 do.
Minus 5 stars.
This is Monday night and we are talking football. Cause why? Cause this is Pitch Talk. Yeah, let's roll into some general talking points. And where we're going to go is one of the big stories of the week, which is 2022 World Cup Qatar event set for November and December. The 2022 World Cup in Qatar should take place in November and December, the FIFA task force has recommended. Key football officials met in Doha to discuss a number of options following fears a summer event would endanger the health of players and fans. Summer temperatures in Qatar can exceed 40 degrees centigrade, while those in November and December drop to around 25 degrees centigrade. Tuesday's recommendation is expected to be ratified by FIFA's executive committee in Zurich on the 19th and 20th of March. Task Force Chief Sheikh Salman bin Ibrahim Al Khalifa has also recommended that the 2022 tournament should be shortened by a few days. There has already been speculation that the tournament could start on the 26th of November and end on December 23rd. However, FIFA has already said there are no plans to reduce the size of the tournament from 32 teams or 64 matches. The other dates under consideration, I said, were May and January to February. But January and February to Winter Olympics, the month of Ramadan begins on April 2nd in 2022, and the hot conditions would prevail from May to September in Qatar. A final one, the 23rd of December. FIFA President, Vice President Jim Boyce said moving the World Cup to winter was common sense, but that final one, December 23rd, will be too close to Christmas and Britain's traditional festive matches. That's the only reservation I would have, and I would like it a week earlier, said Boyce. But I want to wait until the FIFA Executive Committee meeting to hear all the details about the dates. That stance was echoed by Richard Scudamore, chief executive of the Barclays Premier League. We've got to make sure we keep the Christmas and New Year program intact, he said. Now, a Winter World Cup being workable is one of them ones where FIFA Vice President Jim Boyce said the tournament in November and December would cause a lot of disruption, but added it is 8 years away and people should have enough time to make it work. However, Peter Coates, chairman of the English Premier League side Stoke City, described the situation as a disaster. By the way, thank you, Ian Kerr, and thank you for joining us. So thank you for your A-League roundup too. Greg Dyke said, Peter Coates of Stoke City said, the only saving grace is that we don't have to think about it for a long time. It couldn't be more disruptive. Greg Dyke said the best option would be to move the World Cup from Qatar, but that November, December was the best of bad options. I mean, almost sounds like FIFA elections, the best of a bad bunch. Now, the impact on the British game is that the Premier League is that obviously the title running and the whole it would create in the schedules of the broadcast partners. That's the main thing that the Premier League are concerned about. But it would also affect the Football League, FA Cup, and the League Cup. League and Cup competitions in Scotland may also face disruption as well, regardless of whether the national team qualifies for the tournament, with players being called up for domestic leagues in Wales and Northern Ireland are less likely to be affected, with the vast majority of players being non-internationals. Now, many of Europe's top leagues wanted an April-May solution to minimise disruption to their domestic programme, not to mention the impact on the Champions League and the Europa League as well. But the European clubs that look like they'll suffer the most. But it's one of them ones. Qatar World Cup could be reduced in length for clubs. This is from February 23rd, 2015. The 2022 World Cup could be shortened to appease clubs, according to one insider. Now, football's most prestigious tournament is set to be moved to the winter due to the heat in the Middle East, much to the chagrin of clubs. In order to justify the move, I said, could be moved to November, December. But the leagues have been forceful in arguing that you only need 2 weeks preparation beforehand rather than the usual 3 or 4, and that tournament does not need to be as long as the 32 days it was in Brazil. The players from the Northern Hemisphere clubs, which is the majority, will be fresher than usual, and the logistics of Qatar mean it will be less than 2 hours drive to every stadium, so there will be no travel days for teams. For example, you probably don't need 5 days between the semi-final and final. 72 hours should be long enough. Now, another thing that has actually come out of this as well, excuse me, that has actually come out of this whole thing as well is compensation. From the 25th of February 2015, FIFA says it will not pay compensation to clubs and leagues unhappy about plans to play the 2022 Qatar World Cup in November and December. It also said no. It is one of them was see with this whole situation with the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, putting the corruption stuff aside, leaving that aside, because we've that horse is bolted, cowboy. We've beaten that horse, and that horse has been dead for about 4 years. But you've got to think that. And it's interesting what what was said by the Football League's chairman. Just coming back to that a second, the Football League's chief executive Sean Harvey talking about the tournament being expected to be played at the end of the 2021-22 season, considering that was the basis upon which the tender process was conducted. That's where I want to stick for a minute, because if the tender process was for the end of the 2021-22 season to play this World Cup, why did it go to Qatar in the first place? That's a question that I think is getting missed, because at the end of the day, obviously, as I said, leaving the corruption thing aside, countries had to submit a 200-page dossier as to what they would do, how they would do it in terms of hosting a World Cup. So my question would be, still, why did Qatar get it? But leaving that aside, a November-December tournament is going to disrupt so many leagues. It really is. And all of this, even though it's only going to happen once, you're not destroying football. It doesn't. To be honest, it doesn't really matter. They shouldn't. That country shouldn't have got it in the first place. Then you wouldn't have these problems. A little bit of foresight goes a long way, and I think this is what a lot of the powers that be in football don't understand. I mean, especially in relation to the grassroots game, but it's a different issue. But for me, one of the major facts is that it seems that people have not been looking ahead. FIFA had to have seen these kind of problems coming with, oh crap, it's too hot in the summer, so we got to move it to the winter. Oh, we move it to the winter. When are we going to move it? Because we're going to disrupt most of the European leagues. FIFA have created their own headaches with this. And some would say, including me, corruption has caused these headaches as well. That's definitely a curveball right on strike one. But it's I just see it as, how can you base a tender process on it being hosted in the summer and then move it 6 months back? Does anyone else see what's wrong with that? To me, that's just weird. But the fact that it's going to cause so much disruption, you can't even say, oh yeah, we're going to keep disruption to a minimum, because when you're kind of basically disrupt almost every European league, there ain't no minimum amount of disruption. Then you're just going into the difference between hair and fur in terms of how much disruption you're going to cause, because you're going to cause a lot anyway. But compensation for unhappy clubs, if anything, if they had started giving out compensation to clubs, you're going to get broadcasters asking for exactly the same thing, because they have to make their schedules, and obviously the clubs kind of fit within that, because we know who has the stroke when it comes to the Premier League, and that's Sky. But the World Cup being reduced in length, I don't want the World Cup reduced in length. I don't want that reduced in length. The World Cup is a fantastic time. Why should the World Cup be reduced in length because FIFA buggered up and gave it to a country who it's not workable to have it at the usual time? Why should the World Cup be reduced in length because FIFA messed up? That's the annoying thing for me. That is the annoying thing. I mean, of course, this decision, this recommendation by the FIFA task force is not a surprise, but this should not be even on the table. This shouldn't be a situation. You shouldn't have given it to a country who can't host it in its usual place, because they're already looking at the dumb idea for one of the upcoming UEFA tournaments. I think it's 2022. This whole roadshow gimmick. If FIFA can't get this right, what makes you think UEFA are going to get the roadshow thing right in 2020, where they're taking it to different countries? It's just one of them ones. I don't think these guys are looking. I think it's one of them ones. In the words of Rick James, money talks, BS walks, and it seems like FIFA are the BS walks part of it, and Qatar were money talks, in my view. But I said, why should the World Cup have to move because FIFA botched the decision? That would be the way I look at it. But you know what, Jazzy Fizzle, did you want to jump in on this before we throw out to the Skypers?
I did, because I'm with you 10 million %. I don't understand it. Like, the thing is, as far as I understood it, for as long as it's been going on, right? Even right when the war happened to interrupt the proceedings, the Second World War, that is, the World Cup has always been in the summer.
Yeah.
Always. I mean, they've changed the trophy, they've changed the official ball, everything else, right? But the thing that didn't change was the fact that it's in the summer. Why are you moving it to the winter? Why did you even have to give it to a country where you'd have to consider moving it to the winter in the first place? Like, I understand that we happen to go around the same countries, every so often, right? In that Germany's hosted it a couple of times, Italy's hosted it a couple of times, Brazil have hosted it a couple of times, Argentina have hosted it a couple of times. But it's a summer competition, right? It's a time that makes the most sense for everybody, right? Because how many active leagues are there in the summer?
Not a great deal. And that's
the whole point.
Yeah.
In most of the players that would play in the World Cup, i.e. international caliber, i.e. international squad members, would all be playing in leagues that would finish during the summer, where the off season is in the summer, right? All of the major transfer windows in the summer, right? The transfer window that generates the most money, is the European one. That's in the summer.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's just one of them ones where look at the amount of chicanery.
I think Oceanic football has a different window. But in terms of the one that generates the most money, in terms of the one that the whole world is interested in, that's in Europe. That's in the summer, right? In terms of where all of the key and important teams and countries, right, and representatives of those countries, the leagues that they play in, they're all in Europe, right? So why would you want a Winter World Cup? It makes no sense. None whatsoever. So here's my thing, right? We talk about flop of the week contenders. We talk about flop of the season contenders. We talk about flop of life contenders. Shout out to Big T on that one. We've got to throw them T's up. Yeah. Big T, because it is a flop of life. I mean, it's not quite on the Milhesky levels, but much bigger for me personally, right? Because I says to you, the World Cup is a summer tournament, right? It's a thing that you put in your diary for the summer. Right, it's the thing that you look forward to during the season, right? Because normally during the summer, unless there's a European Championship, right? And for those of us in Europe, there's not really a lot to look forward to apart from the European Championship and the World Cup, which occur in the summer, right? If you're window shopping for your club, looking at new players to go and buy, right? You're looking at them in the summer tournaments.
Of course, because everyone's overpriced in January.
Right? So I'm saying, hang on a minute. Why have you gone from this true, tried, tested formula where everybody's happy, right? Just to say, right, okay, let's try and make some more money from advertising and sponsorships and all the rest of it. And let's move the competition, then have to admit that we messed up, then inconvenience pretty much everybody in football just to get it done.
See, you know, you've hit the nail on the head. The fact that you have to go through this amount of chicanery to get the tournament hosted. Let's put aside the fact that Qatar has to build the infrastructure first, and the corruption deal. But it's one of them ones. The fact that this much chicanery has to be done to get the tournament in the winter. Why would you award it there in the first place? You had to see this crap storm coming.
Literally, right? I have to go Kieran and Kerr on this one and just be like, why? Because it makes no sense.
That doesn't.
It makes no sense whatsoever. Right? Now, I understand that sponsorship and advertising, very, very big part of the business side of football, and obviously they're going to make an absolute killing. That part of it makes sense, right? But you're also going to want people that are actually going to be available to watch it, okay? During the holiday season, that's what people are focused on. The holiday, right? They're not focused on actively watching football. I think they're going to say it was going to run up to what? Christmas Eve?
Yeah, December 21st.
Something ridiculous like that. I'm like, no. Right? You know what I'm doing on Christmas Eve? I'm getting ready for Christmas Eve. Preparing myself. Right? And I've probably already eaten my weight, my body weight and everything already. Yeah. Right? It's part of the warm-up. So you expect me to be sat there watching a World Cup final, right? 2 days before Christmas. I mean, I know, like, generally speaking, right, a really good World Cup final is a gift that keeps on giving, but that is ridiculous. Right? Just makes no sense. No sense. Right? I think they just have to admit, overall, okay, giving the bid to Qatar was a mistake. Okay? It needs to be moved to another country. And just don't mess with the formula. It's not broken, so don't fix it.
I agree on that one.
Right? But I want to throw it out to the Skypers. I want to know what the Skypers have to say. I'm going to tweet this question out, right? But my viewpoint on it is this, yeah? Is this now going to become the new trend? Are we going to have like alternating Winter World Cups now?
Well, it could open the door.
And
it could open the door.
Right? And how do we feel about that? Me personally, I'm like, it wasn't broken in the first place. I don't need a Winter World Cup. A Winter World Cup does not fit into my schedule.
Yeah, and if a country can't host it in the summer, then sorry, you don't get it.
You don't host it. It's simple as that.
Yeah, pure and simple, black and white. You don't get it. It's one of them. And obviously, the football and powers that be don't get it either.
But let's throw it out to the Skypers. Let's ask them, and I'll post the question on Twitter and Facebook as well.
Yeah. Kieran Riley, you wanted to jump in first, didn't you?
Yeah, as you probably saw from point in the chat, if that country's going to complain about them being too hot in the summer, why bid to host a football tournament when you know you're going to have to change to the winter, which will affect everywhere else in the world, because obviously the season doesn't run in the summer.
Well, money spinning. Money spinning for summer, like say for a country like Qatar, it's just money.
I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but if you're a hot country that has too much heat in the summer, don't bid to host the World Cup. Leave it for other countries, for example, England, who had a good bid to host the 2018 World Cup.
Well, we had the best technical bid for the 2018 World Cup, and then 2022, Australia had the best technical bid. Neither country got it, and well, Australia got denied compensation.
Yeah, exactly.
It's mad. It is madness. I mean, do you think a Winter World Cup is workable at all, though?
No, because we're obviously playing nearly every Saturday, and also all the English teams will lose a lot of their good players because they're all international players.
But then the only thing, though, you literally have to stop the leagues from basically the back end of October to potentially early January. You would have to literally stop them leagues while the World Cup goes on, which is just buggery. It's, I mean, 2-week international breaks are annoying enough, but you've got a whole tournament to crowbar into the middle of the season. It just doesn't make any sense. Logistically, doesn't make any sense at all. It's just a weird one. I mean, Kieran, did you want to add anything to that?
I'm just carrying on with your point about stopping the season from October till January. It also means it will mess up the next season after that, because obviously they need the summer break, which will mean the season won't finish till something like, if they stop it from October to January, it's not going to be, season won't finish till at least June, July time, which would completely mess the next season up, because they'll need those few months off to rest and go through the transfer window and all that.
Actually, that's not a bad point. I actually didn't even think of that. That's a great point. That is actually a great point, because the whole knock-on effect of that. Yes, totally. No, Kieran, that's a great point. I've never even thought of that in terms of the clubs. Yeah, if you stop the season for a couple of months, you got to make that up. You got to make that up somehow. You can't just trim the season and make the league season short. Didn't even think of that. But it's mad. See again, if we didn't think of it, the powers that be probably didn't either. I mean, I don't know, man. I know the whole thing's crazy. The whole thing's crazy. I mean, Kieran, did you? No. All right, we're gonna have to come.
Sorry, I lost your audio then. That's like you were saying. It's a complete, ache for. I could have used the word there, but I don't want to.
Cluster. Cluster is the word. I'm thinking of the word cluster.
Yeah, as well.
God, I'm thinking of the word cluster. Cluster F.
It's going to give them, because then they've got to plan an entire new season as the knock-on effect of that Winter World Cup. They've got to plan the next seasons after that and after that and after that, all fitting in the summer transfer window, and then obviously all the international break as well. It's just messed up.
I mean, we've also got Ryan. Ronley, you wanted to jump in on this as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I lost your audio at first then. I thought the Qatar hosting it in 2022 is beyond a joke. I mean, yeah, it's hot there. Why move it to the winter? It's going to mess up a lot of football. I mean, the only teams that play in the summer are the likes of Brazil, USA, and Australia. And I mean, that's 3 leagues. There's 40, 50 leagues it will affect if it's a Winter World Cup.
That's a great point. In Europe, yeah. Great point.
I mean, and then you got to do it from the Premier League to League Two, maybe even the Conference, because there is some international players that play in the Conference, and then there's that's 5-6 leagues, and then you got League.
Liga, the Bundesliga, and then cascading down as well. You have so many leagues affected. It's nuts.
And I mean, if it had gone to England in 2018, Australia would have had to have it because it's their winter.
Yeah.
In 2022, because them having it in 2022 would have made a big difference to the World Cup, because they wouldn't have cared. I mean, it's still going to be 20, 25 degrees Celsius out in Australia in their winter, but it's not going to be as hot as it is in Qatar, where it's going to be, 40, 45 degrees?
Comfortably, yeah.
And, I mean, if they had aircon stadiums, which they wouldn't because it costs too much money.
Well, they're saying they're going to do that. They're saying they're going to do that, but at the end of the day, then with air conditioned stadiums, I mean, there's still the health implications for the fans outside of the stadiums.
Well,
So
why
then there's
don't they have roofs as well? Roofs over the stadiums as well. I mean, the Millennium Stadium is one of the best stadiums in Great Britain. It's got a roof that can be closed.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was there like 11 years ago watching a game, and I mean, it's our winter, but it was still quite a nice day.
It's one of them ones, and as Kieran Riley has put, the World Cup. What do they do with that stuff? That's always the thing that most don't look at. What happens with the stuff after? You got stuff like Olympic villages that are disused and abandoned, like the Atlanta Olympic Village is basically not used. They're not doing anything with that. You know, in Qatar, either they'll destroy the stadiums or they're just going to not be used. But
look at England's game in Brazil, where they had to play in the rainforest. I mean, it wasn't as hot, but the humidity, they allowed both teams to have a water break halfway through the first half and halfway through the second half. Because, I mean, over 25 degrees Celsius, which is 77, 80 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to have a lot of fluid in you.
I mean, it's insane. I mean, Mike Harniman wanted to come in on this as well.
Yeah, I was actually talking to Tara about this afternoon as well, because it just came up in conversation when we were kind of just out and about, just, in day-to-day stuff. And I kind of even said, similar along the lines of what Kieran said, really, about having to stop the season and make up the season again and stuff. And I was also saying about the effect it's going to have on clubs as well, because, for Chelsea, they'll have most of their squad going. Arsenal could have most of their squad. Tottenham could have most of their squad. Liverpool, Man City, whoever. And if you lose a big name player, you lose a Costa, you lose a Harry Kane, you lose a Sanchez, for example, that could define your season. And where before it's at the end of the season, you've got time to readjust with the transfer window and that. With this 2-week break, you've got nothing. You literally have nothing. I don't understand it at all.
I mean, you see, as I said, it is just absolutely baffling that the powers that be would go with this, but it kind of, it almost makes sense. It almost makes sense because the powers that be get involved with, well, they do a lot of things that don't make sense to us. So it's just, I don't know. Yeah, Kieran Riley's right. We could talk about this all night. I mean, it's one of those. I just don't get it. The ins and outs of it. I said, even putting the corruption stuff aside, which was a major thing, and they had the report, Michael Garcia's report that came out recently, and it's like it's just absolutely stupid. I mean, it's just. I can't get why the powers that be would do this and allow it to go on. This is the thing, and you've got also guys like, say, Louis Figo, who's looking to say, oh yeah, I want to do a 48 team World Cup, and it's like, Virgin, no, they can't even get a bloody, oh my god, they can't even get a Winter World Cup going, let alone trying to add more teams into it. Let's not be stupid here. But I don't know. The whole thing is crazy as cat crap. It really is. It really is. But it's one of them ones. We're definitely gonna revisit this point at some point. But it's one of them ones. You know what? This is your Monday Night Football and Pitch Talk, and we'd like to thank the Skypers for their views. Thank you, Ryan Sonley, Kieran Riley, and Mike Harniman. Andy Townsend was unwell and was replaced for the evening by Lee Dixon. And you know what? It was on them ones. Some of the tweets are absolutely classic, because at Grumpy Stephen Robbins at Grumpy Dev said, "No Andy Townsend. How am I meant to know if these world-class multi-award winning players are a top player?" Such a living. Mark Jarvis at MMJ Training. City, Barca, and no Andy Townsend. Football heaven. It's cruel. Monkey of the North at Grunners85, G Runners 85. No Adrian Childs and no Andy Townsend. ITV football just became bearable to watch again. So cruel. 79,292. Number of grown men who have just screamed with joy at the news that Andy Townsend isn't commentating tonight. Absent. And that's from at Opta Joke. That's cruel. Oh my word. Oh, that is cool. At Dave Straw on Twitter said, Andy Townsend isn't on ITV commentary tonight through illness. Finally, I could take the pins out of my voodoo doll. That's cool. At 666 bet, underway at the Etihad, and even better news, Andy Townsend is a sick note. Can this night get any better? Oh, people are cruel, you know. At Manhattan.com on Twitter sent a gone off yogurt to Andy Townsend the other day. Hope he got it. That's cruel. That's cruel. Gone off yogurt. Oh my word. No, that is such a living. Oh, that is so cruel, you know. Some people had some really good tongue-in-cheek ones. At Gary_EFC 1878 said, these Champions League nights on ITV just aren't the same without the dulcet tones of Andy Townsend. Bring back Andy. Commentary God. Oh man, he's trying to make out like he's JBL. Wrestling God. At Scottimus Rex on Twitter said, I'm quite missing 2 times English League Cup winner Andy Townsend critiquing the best players and managers in the world. Oh, some people are so liberty. At Bennett1 Gordon said, I wonder what's happened to Andy Townsend. Not sure I will watch the game now. Where was it? At Gordon_Manners. How would Andy Townsend approach this vital game? Enrique asked himself. Oh, that is so liberties. That is so liberties. Oh, mate. That is so cool, you know. I'm at Chopper248. This isn't the same without the in-depth insight and analysis of Andy Townsend. Pray for Andy. That's a living. People are cruel, you know. Jazzy Fizzle, what's your views on these, man? These are cruel.
I thought some of them were absolutely classic. I honestly did. I thought some of them were absolutely classic. Now, obviously, I want to wish, Andy Townsend all the best, and, it'd be great to have him back on TV doing his thing, so on and so forth. But, I also think that maybe, just maybe, right, they need to look at an alternative, because if you look at the response, right, people are actually looking for something different. So maybe it's worth looking into. Who knows?
It's such a limit. It is such a limit. Some of them are proper cruel, man. But it's it's all fun. It's all fun and games. Did he have merch? I like that. That's good. He died. He's been stricken with merch. Oh my word! If any of the Skypers want to jump in on this, let us know. But for now, let's shift on to oh my god. You know what? Yeah, this one was actually quite funny. Hibernian star Jason Cummings banned from McDonald's after throwing McMuffins at staff. This is from Thursday, 26th of February, 2015. I can't even keep a straight face with this. Hibernian striker Jason Cummings was today left with egg on his face. You'll get that in a minute. After being banned from his local McDonald's branch for allegedly throwing muffins at staff. The 19-year-old was reportedly spotted in the early hours launching the breakfast snack at members of staff at the fast food chain's Gorgie Road branch in Edinburgh. It is not known whether the weapon of choice was sweet or savoury with egg-based muffins, also available on the menu. Cummings did not feature during their side's 3-0 victory over Dumbarton at the weekend, fueling speculation he'd been disciplined internally at Easter Road. A McDonald's spokeswoman told the Daily Record, "Following behaviour deemed to be unacceptable, we are in the process of writing to this individual, informing him of our decision to ban him from Gorgie Road restaurant. We take antisocial behaviour very seriously." There has been no statement from the player or his club while it remains to be revealed what, if any, punishment he'll face. Cummings is believed to be adamant that he did nothing wrong and was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Jason has been left quite upset by these allegations and wants to stress that he did nothing wrong. A source close to the player said he was in the wrong place at the wrong time and got caught up in something that wasn't his doing. Thankfully, he has the full support of the club and his manager, Alan Stubbs, and as ever, he's working hard to get back into the team for their game on Saturday. He wants to put this behind him and get on with scoring goals for him. Now, do you know what this reminds me of? What this reminds me of is this.
Pearl Vision. Hey, what superpowers you gonna bring? What superpowers Hurricane got? Hamburglar. Hey, what you gonna do? You gonna throw a chicken McNugget at the Rock? You gonna hit the Rock in the head with a cheeseburger?
As soon as I read that story, that's what it reminded me of. You're gonna throw a chicken McNugget at the Rock. You're gonna hit him in the head with a cheeseburger. Jesse, what you reckon about this, man?
I think if it is true, that has got to be one of the funniest stories of the week.
Man, he needs.
Because my thing is, right, for him throwing it at the staff, he's already paid for it, right? So how much did it cost him? That's my first question. How much did it cost him? And how many did he throw? Do you know what I mean? And then, of course, it's like, well, look, it's quite difficult for a McNuffin, that's what I like to call them, McNuffins, for a McNuffin to be cold, right? Because they do give them to you warm. Like, you do get them warm, right? Now, if I was going to have a McNuffin, and I generally don't have a McNuffin, I'd have mine with extra cheese. But my thing is, so he bought it, then decided to throw it at staff, and now he's been banned. Like, was it really worth it? That's my question.
You know what? For that good a story, it's actually quite funny.
Cable vision. Pearl vision. Oh, hey, what superpowers you gonna bring? What superpowers Hurricane got? Hamburglar. Hey, what you gonna do? You gonna throw a chicken McNugget at the Rock? You gonna hit the Rock in the head with a cheeseburger?
I would have did that. I would have been hitting people in the head with a cheeseburger for a chicken McNuggets. Oh, that's no, you know what? That's screwed. It is so wrong though. As a story, it is so wrong. It was so wrong though. It's like, oh, good gravy. Actually, no, good muffin. Oh, I don't get that. Do any of the Skypers want to jump in on this? Because I'm just sitting there. I'm just here laughing, man. That's too funny. Kieran Riley, you want to jump in?
Yeah. Who would waste a perfectly good McMuffin meal? I mean, come on. They're like the best thing for breakfast in the morning. Who wastes their money on buying one and then just throws them at the staff when they can just eat them? It's weird. I'm just sitting here laughing at this. What is up with that?
Oh, perfect segment for it to be in. What's up with? Oh, as soon as we saw this story, it's like, yep, that's going in the show. That can't go without saying that one.
I think we've got a question for him, which is, why are you mad though?
If you're mad enough to throw your chicken McMuffin at someone, your sausage McMuffin at someone. I control the McMuffins. I control McDonald's.
Why are you mad though?
I control the spice. I control the McMuffins. Oh God. Oh, speaking of another story that we felt had to be in the show, we wanted to prove the validity of it first. Jesus Christ. That's a good one. Jesus Christ. Oh, Lord G Crust. Oh my God. You know what? One of our pitch sex video from 26th February 2015. I can actually say this one with the straight face. Reason being, Charlton are investigating footage that appears to show a couple having sex on the pitch at the Valley. No, pitch talk. We're pitch talk. This is pitch sex. Oh God. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to pitch sex. Anyway, no. The video widely shared online. It shows footage of a man and a woman on the centre spot of the Championship club's pitch. The description on the video claimed the incident took place at the ground in southeast London, with the pair having broken into the stadium at night. A Charlton spokesperson said there will be an investigation. Now, it's weird that you mentioned Pornhub, because the story that we had on the way back from Wembley was quite funny. But anyway, Charlton Athletic own up to pitch sex video publicity stunt. Charlton Athletic have admitted that video footage of a couple having sex on the center spot of the pitch at the Valley was a publicity stunt. The video of the man and woman had more than 1 million views on social media. The addicts had claimed that the amorous pair had broken into the ground and that they were investigating the footage. We decided to own up and explain that it was set up by us to launch our pitch hire campaign, said commercial manager Mark Hassan Ali. The club are hiring out their pitch for fans to play on in the summer and launched the offer on their website under the headline "Score at the Valley." That is marketing genius. That is marketing genius by Charlton Athletic. Brilliant. Release a fake video, and you notice how and it wasn't. It was the Mirror, that newspaper, who had the footage, the apparent CCTV footage first. So it's always the tabloids to get the scumbag stories first. But you know what? Score at the Valley, and you have that as your promo video for it. Brilliant. Utter genius. I love every bit of it. Charlton smacked it. That's potential team of the week material right there. Jay, your view?
No, I have to say I thought it was particularly ingenious myself. You know, right about now, when you look at those kinds of stories, like we had one, was it a couple of years ago now, the Bundesliga one, and that one was
the Hoffenheim one, yeah.
So, you know, to have that and have that initial buzz around it, right, in terms of getting eyes and ears on Charlton Football Club, that's exactly what it's done. So it's done the job and then some, you know, which I think is absolutely brilliant. Yeah. You know, absolutely brilliant. I'm just waiting for another club to try and copy it now and imitate it and see how far that goes. Personally, what I'm really waiting for is all of the parody videos. That's what I'm waiting for.
Well, we might want to get in on that. No, not in. Oh, we're gonna have to find a woman to help us.
I'm just saying, right? You dug the hole yourself, and you've covered yourself with all of that. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the G-man is there. You took that mantle at Wembley, so one of you will star in the video.
No.
The parody.
Let's get this straight, okay? The G-Man's theme song, right, is Imaginary Player, okay? My theme song is International Players Anthem. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my God! You know what? Yeah, one other funny one. Actually, no, one other funny one. We got to go into this one. Charlton, not the Charlton one. Yeah, Pablo Osvaldo. Apparently, he was caught sneaking women into the team hotel from around about the same time, 26th February 2015, actually. The renegade Italian forward was set to make his Boca debut on Thursday night, but that was in doubt after he organized a party in the team hotel. The on-loan Southampton man has been named by a variety of Argentine news sources as the ringleader of a fiestita. Anyway, little party is the translation of that. Not little anyway, no, I can't go there. Organized with 4 teammates and 2 female guests. The story, as broken by Buenos Aires-based tabloid Crónica, also reveals that forward Juan Manuel Martinez was caught having sex with a woman by Boca manager Rodolfo Arruabarrena, while goalkeeper Augustin Orion, defender Leandro Marin, and striker Jonathan Cagliari were also involved in the incident. Arruabarrena is reported to have rumbled what was going on when he spotted Martinez escorting one of the girls into the hotel, and he later caught Martinez mid-act in the room of fitness coach Pablo Santella, who was complicit in the players' plan and left the players a free bedroom. Bro, hey man, got a free drum in it, come through. Reminds me of being young. The furious Boca boss is reported to have demanded that Martinez and Osvaldo be separated from the rest of the squad, while the Osvaldo situation is complicated by him being the highest earner at La Bombonera. Almost slipped there.
I'm telling you, boy, you need Jesus.
La Bomba, oh my God. Arruabarrena is said to have argued with club president Daniel Angelici over the Italian's contract, with talk of sending him back to Europe due to family problems. Oh my word. Apparently one of the women involved is negotiating with a primetime television show over a kiss and tell appearance. Wow. Now, you know what, yeah? Sneaking women into your team hotel, boy, the Ibis Newcastle tour might get a bit interesting if we a bit more interesting if that was to happen. But, what happens in Newcastle stays in Newcastle. But, no, you know what, yeah? That is, if you're going to go out with a bang. Not that kind of bang. Are you gonna bang though? But anyway.
Stop it. And now I was waiting for the DDP reference, but never mind.
Well, I guess. I guess with Manuel Martinez, he's a forward, so he was trying to score. Well, he was probably better off trying to score a Charlton. At least it would have only been a publicity stunt. I wonder if they went no, a certain style, but I'm not going that way. Jazzy, your view on this?
Well, I can see why Daniel Osvaldo has reported family problems. I think if he happens to move back to Argentina for his boyhood club, and then he happens to orchestrate something with other club staff, where a room is made available to bring in some local ladies. I'm pretty sure it doesn't go down well with his family. You know, just a thought there. I'll throw that out to the universe. But aside from that, you know, I think, you know, it's a bit of a incredulous story. Now, my thing is this, right? I personally wouldn't have any objection to it if everybody involved happened to be single. Right? If everybody involved is single and everybody knows what they're signing up for,
and if everyone was of legal age as well, let's not forget that. It's very important. Adam Johnson knows how important that is with the accusations that are going around right now. Just want to say.
Yes, and of course the whole legal age bit. And let's not forget that. So, you know, with all of that in mind, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Danny Osvaldo, once upon a time, was a very, very talented football player. You know, he used to score quite a few goals in Serie A. You know, so now for me, I'm thinking, has he gone the way of an Adriano? Now, Adriano was a much bigger football star. I need to establish that. Much bigger football star. But this whole thing of the party boy lifestyle, party boy attitude, is ruining him as a footballer, right? So he leaves Serie A, comes to England, signs for Southampton, never really gets going for Southampton in any way, shape, or form, right? Then goes back to Serie A, was playing for Inter for a while, now gets moved to Boca, and again, like nothing's really happening. I think what needs to happen for Daniel Osvaldo at the minute is he needs to decide what he wants to do and what he wants to be. If he wants to be a professional footballer, if he wants to be a party boy that just hosting sex parties, you know,
like Silvio Berlusconi,
then, you know, if you do, then more power to him. But yeah, I just think it's a waste of a talented footballing career. That's what it is. It's a waste of a talented footballing career. He needs to sit down, set him, you know, find out what he wants to do, and go from there.
And maybe make it legit. Maybe go like The Godfather in 2002. He's gone legit. No, I'm kidding. Kieran Riley, you wanted to jump in on this, didn't you, before we move on?
Oh yeah, very quickly. How the heck was he managing to sneak him in the first place? To a hotel that generally got
they left the room for it.
Security stuff.
People were leaving the rooms open for him. It's like, yeah, it's footballers. He can do what he wants. Oh my word! It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, man. I'm sorry, but I find that stuff. I find that hilarious. But you know what? It is time for us because we're in the home straight of the show. And big shout out to Big T, who will love that story when he hears it. It's one of them ones. Let's go into.
Stuff of the week.
Hey!
Yeah.
La da da la da da la da da la da da la da. La da da. This is Pitch Talk, and it's Monday night. Stuff of the week. Let's go into some stuff of the week. Why? Because this is Pitch Talk every Monday night. Talking football and having some fun. Just had what's up with that. Now is the time for stuff of the week. Who will get it? Oh, now. Stuff of the week. Let's go team of the week first. And the team of the week. You know what? Yeah, team of the week. I can't look further than Charlton. I really cannot look further than Charlton Athletic for team of the week because that is marketing genius. Charlton Athletic. Yeah, I'm going Charlton Athletic, man. That story was hilarious to me. Yeah, Charlton Athletic. Jesse, who you going for?
Well, for the off the pitch exploits, well, maybe the on the pitch exploits actually, Charlton Athletic. And then for a more serious one, I think you have to look at Chelsea. They've got one trophy in the cabinet,
Yeah.
and they're in contention for 2 more, and they look good for both of them. So yeah, Chelsea.
Good shout, good shout. Russ Vernon, team of the week.
The real team of the week comes from the Skype Championship, and I'm going to give it to Birmingham for beating Brentford. And Matt Smith, he says it's team of the week, Chelsea.
Is that the Matt Smith from ITV?
Yes, because earlier on the Twitter feed, M Smith A50 has got a photo of Robbie Fowler, Peter Reid, and Gordon Strachan inside the studio from when he presented the Europa League coverage last week, and he's got photos of him inside his house and when he was doing the African Cup of Nations for ITV as well, Liam.
Cool. You know what?
He got it during the African Cup of Nations when he was on.
Well, you know what? Let's shift on. It's good. Hey, hopefully he's listening. Hopefully he's tuned in. Tom Wood, who you going for team of the week?
Crystal Palace for beating West Ham.
Not a bad shout at all. Ryan Sonley, who you going for team of the week?
I'm going for Berry for doing the double over my first team, playing for our goal.
Great shout.
I'm the only team to do the double over us.
Good shout. Very, very good. Kieran Riley, who you going for team of the week?
Honourable mention to Chelsea for winning the Capital One Cup, but also to my team, Wolverhampton Wanderers, for 2 straight wins this week. Get in.
Shout out Mike Harniman, team of the week.
Yeah, Liam, I think you might like me for this one. I'm going to give it to Liverpool for bouncing back after being knocked out of the UEFA Cup by the 2-1 victory over Man City at the weekend.
Yeah, you're not in the danger zone, so it's all good. Oh, I know another OWR right there. All righty, tighty. Remember, those listening via YouTube, tweet us or Facebook us your stuff of the week. Team goal player flop of the week. Let's go into player of the week. Philippe Coutinho, dominating performance over Manchester City. It was one of them. I gotta go Philippe Coutinho. I really have. With an honourable mention, as it happens, to Jose Mourinho for stifling Tottenham and masterminding the Capital One Cup win. So Philippe Coutinho gets my player of the week with honourable mention to Jose Mourinho. Jesse Fizzle, who you got for?
My player of the week, right, is actually Cristiano Ronaldo. Reason being, Cristiano Ronaldo, right, is the first player to have 5 straight seasons with 30 or more goals.
That's a good shout. I can see the logic behind that. That's a good shout.
And then an honourable mention to Wayne Rooney for his 33 braces in the Premier League.
Bun Wayne. I'm kidding. Now, there's the type of bird upon the chest coming out. Russ Vernon, who are you going for? Player of the week?
My player of the week, Liam, it's not on the pitch, it's off the pitch, and he's not a player, it's a commentator, and I'm going to give it to Ian Dennis from the BBC, because last week I emailed him with some questions on how to be a football commentator, what's goes on that, and he actually emailed me back and listened to a bit of commentary I did and give me some tips and advice and give me some advice on how to go football commentator. So Ian Dennis, thank you for your kind stuff.
Great shout. And you know what, yeah? You know what? One person who definitely deserves honourable mention in terms of player of the week is Jonas Gutierrez, who made his comeback this past Saturday and was on the bench for Newcastle United. Jonas Gutierrez deserved that. It just popped back into my mind now, actually. That Jonas Gutierrez overrides Coutinho, Mourinho. It's one of them. It's Jonas Gutierrez. Go straight in at number 1. Mike Harniman, who you going for?
You've literally just nicked it off the tip of my tongue there, but I was going to go with Gutierrez as well.
Nah, I think Ryan Sonley was going to go for the same as well. Kieran Riley, who you going for? Player of the week?
Shout out to Benik Afobe for obviously becoming top goal scorer in the Capital One Cup, but also to Bakary Sacco as well.
Good shout. Tom Wood, player of the week?
Sedo Berahino.
Oh, good shout. It's a good finish, actually. All right, you know what? Let's jump into goal of the week then. Goal of the week. All Liverpool bias up front, in your face, red tinted specs. Philippe Coutinho gets goal of the week. Honourable mention to Jordan Henderson as well and Saido Berahino, but it's one of them it's out of Coutinho. It is definitely out of Coutinho and Henderson, and Coutinho gets it because he's fired in the winner in tremendous fashion twice in 2 weeks. Philippe Coutinho gets it for me. Jesse Fizzle, you go for it.
What you said, for the exact same reason.
Two time.
I don't think I need to embellish any more than that. For him to do that 2 weeks in a row, 2 very, very crucial goals, 2 match-winning goals as well. I mean, it's difficult to look beyond him. He was actually an honourable mention for my player of the week as well. I do want to point that out. But yeah, both of those goals were absolutely crackerjack. And then, of course, you look at Saido Berahino's goal, and that wasn't bad either.
Yeah, definitely. No, look.
But for me, I think the thing about the Coutinho goal, not just the quality of the goal itself, not just the timing, but the opposition that it's against. That's the other thing.
I'll go with that.
So all of those factors put together, that's why his goal is my goal of the week.
Good shout. Russ Vernon, goal of the week.
For me, Liam, my goal of the week has got to go to Rudolph Austin. Going back to my Smith, his goal is Philippe Coutinho, and his player was Joe Allen.
Oh, good shout. Tom Wood, who you going for? Goal of the week.
Call of the goal against Derby.
I hear that. Ryan Sonley, goal of the week.
I'm going to go for Jordan Henderson's goal.
Yeah.
Because it was so much better than Coutinho's because he's English.
Yeah, it's a reason. Kieran Riley, goal of the week.
Coutinho.
Yeah. Mike Harniman, goal of the week.
Right, I was going to give it to a goal that I saw tonight by Carlos Tevez in the AS Roma and Juventus game. It was a brilliant free kick, and yeah, just Carlos Tevez gets my goal of the week for this week.
Great shout. Let's go into flop of the week. There's a few picks for flop of the week this week. No, that's only accusation, so I actually can't give that. But no, flop of the week. Honourable mention to Jason Cummings after the after the McMuffins gimmick. I gotta play that again.
Oh man, hey, what superpowers you gonna bring? What superpowers Hurricane got? Hamburglar. Hey, what you gonna do? You gonna throw a chicken McNugget at the rock? You gonna hit the rock in the head with a cheeseburger?
Just because Jason Cummings, that deserves honourable mention. But Leeds United as well. I mean, two defeats again in a week. Yeah, two defeats again in a week. Along with I'm gonna have to. I really am gonna have to. If this was non-football, then I'd obviously give it to Madonna, but it's one of them ones. But yeah, Jason Cummings and Leeds United split it between those two. Jesse, who you going for?
Well, just because you gave yours partly to Leeds, right? Russ, this is for you.
Oh, crap. Jesus Christ.
Anyway,
such a liberty.
Back to to my selection, I think we have to look at FIFA for this win a World Cup malarkey, which just really isn't needed whatsoever. Yeah, I think that's mine. Just forget it. It doesn't work. Leave it alone.
Good point. Good point. Just like underage girls, leave it alone. Anyway, leaving that one aside. Russ Vernon, who are you going for? Flop of the week.
For Matt Smith, he's gone Mario Dinak, and I agree with him on the field, but off the field, for me, Liam, Millwall fans, especially after attacking a 10-year-old Wellham United fan, hospitalising 2 stewards, and putting a car brake through a disabled Wellham fan's car after their 2-1 defeat at the New York Stadium on the weekend.
Not fair reasoning. Very fair reasoning. Tom Woods, flop of the week. Who are you going for?
One word for you. Leeds.
Oh. I love it. Ryan Sonley, flop of the week. Who are you going for?
Do I have to mention any of them? My team. Losing.
Middlesbrough and Plymouth. I hear that.
And they should never have lost to Sheffield Wednesday. And Plymouth should never have lost to Bury. We had 2 goals disallowed for offside.
I hear that. Hey, join the club. We had that on Sunday at Liverpool. Yeah. Kieran Riley, flop of the week.
I've got a few. Honourable mention to McMuffin, man. But also to Leeds, obviously. And honourable mention to Fulham as well. Hello, JVK, if you are listening. But final one is Coden Beef for losing 10-0 to Hearts in the Scottish Championship.
Bloody hell. Shows the competition there, eh? Mike Harniman, flop of the week to round out the show.
Yeah, I had a load, but I'm going to narrow it down to just the 2. The main one being Roger East, the referee of the Man United and Sunderland game, for his error that he made.
Fair.
And the final one I'm going to leave you with, dramatic pause. You know, that team from London, the team that was bigging it up a couple of weeks ago when they beat us 2-1. Where are you now?
All right, Delia.
Let's be having you, Tottenham. Oh, yeah. You ain't got no trophies to win. Leave it at that.
Oh, Michael and Delia Smith. To mock Tottenham.
No, you know what, Mike?
Oh,
I
that's
don't really do this, but
is he clapping his legs together?
that was just brilliant. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Mostly because, right, and honestly, I was saying it about Chelsea fans yesterday. I was saying, where are they all?
Yeah, it was weird.
Let's be having you.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Yeah, we need the power of the punch for that. We need the power of the punch. But you know what? It is the power of PT, and it is time for us to vacate the place with a haste. It's that time.
Hi, I'm John Sitton, and I'm here with Gavin, Liam and Gerald on Pitch Talk.
The football talk show that pulls no punches and holds back nothing on opinions.
Hello, I'm Rob Perez. My name is Christian Carambeu.
I'm grassroots coach Manisha Taylor.
Hi, I'm Matt Hodgson, director of the 4-year plan, and you're listening to Pitch Talk, the only place to get your Monday night footballing fix.
Make sure you join the revolution.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk.
I'm Andy Copeland from the Glennet Southern Amateur League.
Philip Wick, I'm CEO of 14.
I'm Rob Lusher, former chairman of Ibis FC.
I'm Samir Swanee, co-founder and co-director of Motivate Sports and Fitness.
And you're listening
And you're listening to Pitch Talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Straight Shooting LJ, the G-Man and Jesse Fizzle have proudly been bringing to you for the past 3 hours the football talk show that pulls no punches and holds back nothing on opinions, because the pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And of course, the pitch is where we talk. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, www.pitch-talk.com is the official website to find out everything Pitch Talk. pitchtalk.blogspot.com or .co.uk will get you to the blogs by yours truly, Straight Shooting LJ, the G-Man, Jezzy Fizzle, Dave Mear, aka Missy, Russ Vernon, Tom Hewitt, aka Big T, also Mike Harniman too, and many, many others as well. You know what? Big shout outs to Dave Mear, aka at Missy as well. Also, big shout outs to Finn White Line Magazine at Tweet White Line on Twitter and FinnWhiteLineMagazine.com. Remember, youtube.com/Pitch Talk is where you can find all of our videos, including Pitch Talk meets Girls on the Ball and Pitch Talk at the Capital One Cup Final 2015 will be up there soon as well. At Pitch Talk on Twitter, tweet with us, follow us, see what we're up to. Facebook.com/Pitch Talk. Become a fan, become a friend, become a member of the group. Join the footballing revolution. We are working so hard to create as well. Pitch Talk 1 on Skype and Pitch Talk Live on Google Plus as well. We've had a lot of fun. We had fun on Wembley Way yesterday. We've had fun tonight as well. Remember, we got Pitch Talk at the Capital One Cup Final coming up soon. Big birthday shout outs to anyone that had birthdays. And you know what? It is time. It's time. Almost Vader time, but you know what, it is one of them ones where we've been live on YouTube and we've been live on mixler.com/pitch-talk as well, live on youtube.com/pitch talk. It's one of them ones we've had a lot of fun. Big thank you to the Skypers that have joined us tonight: Tom Wood, Ryan Sonley, Russ Vernon, Mike Harniman, Kieran Riley. Also, Ian Kerr of Finn White Line Magazine joining us for his and bringing us his A-League roundup as well. Gotta love it. Got to love it. Big shout outs to all the Pitch Talk family, including Brad Hicks, who gave his team of the week as Eastleigh Player of the Week, Dion Burton, Goal of the Week, Jai Reason, Flop of the Week, Roger East as well. You know what? Big time shout outs to everyone who's had birthdays this week as well. Sherelle Wedderburn, love you, darling. Big time shout outs. Swan them was a lot more shout outs, but such little time. We are going to vacate the place with the haste because I've been Straight Shooting LJA.
I've been Jezzy Fizzle.
And we would like to say thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.